Welcome everyone to the 2019 PUBG Mobile Club Open for North America, where we have the top 32 teams from this region competing to try to make their way through the group stages and then into the semifinals and hopefully on to the latter parts of the tournament. My name is Esquire, joined here by Trid on the casting desk.
Thanks very much, Phil. Yeah, we're jumping into our next rotation of games, shall we say. Every team has played at least once. You can see it on your screens right now. Day 1, Day 2, we had A and B go up against each other, and C and D. Look at the names there. What do you notice? Misfits Gaming dominating Group A, and you've got to be very thankful for that because we're going to see them today as they go up against Group C.
Exactly right. We had the Misfits Magic on game number 1, coined by Trid himself, and then the Tempo Storm Thievery. Is that what we're going with? The Thievery.
No, it's Tempo Thievery, Tempo Treasury,
Tempo
Trickery.
Just a lot of tempo in there. And then also Shoot to Win had a pretty stellar day in terms of their placements for day number 2. It wasn't necessarily their kills, Trid, that got them up the leaderboards. It was really their ability to secure those top 3 placements on a fairly consistent basis.
Yeah, they were basically finishing up there. As you can see, they got 2 first-place finishes, and it has put them into a really good position. If we look at an overall leaderboard, we'll get to that in a second. Let's have a look at the bottom end of it and teams that aren't doing so hot right now. And the reason why, Esquire, is if you're currently on this screen right now, if we ended the group stage, you'd be going home.
Yep.
Bottom 8 teams, they are out of the group stage. They will not be joining us in a week and a half's time for that semi-final.
Exactly right, and some of our teams from these A and C lobbies that will be competing today are finding themselves in those bottom 8 positions. So the pressure is on. Let's take a look at our next set of leaderboard ranks, though. This is going to be 17 through 24, some familiar names, but I think the biggest takeaway is how close I think these point totals are.
Yeah, well, after 1 game played, we're expecting that to be the case, and it's going to spread out further because there are a total of 3 game days that a team will play. Every group's going to play against each other at least once, or once to be more specific. Moving up into the top half of our leaderboards, this is where we start to see some more familiar names, the likes of Method, Pittsburgh Knights. They're joining the party here, albeit not at the same level of success, maybe ourselves and also they were expecting.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, teams, at least in these 9 through 16 positions, they can feel pretty, I guess, happy with their performance so far on the weekend. You can't be comfortable in this spot, though. Certainly a lot more games to be played, but let's also take a look now at our top 8 from the tournament leading up until today. Misfits Gaming all the way up there in number 1, and significantly at that, 140 points, where second place comes in 37 points below that. Shoot to Win with 103.
As a team, Misfits Gaming, they obviously got the 3 first place finishes on their game day, but they also got the single most amount of kills that any team has got. So they also have the highest kill points, putting them at a whopping 140 points. Now, Shoot to Win, they're there with 103 behind them, so that's easily a surmountable position to be in after today's games, based on the fact that a team can accrue 140 points in 1 game day. We've just seen that happen. But when we look at Misfits Gaming's group in themselves, the drop-off becomes actually more of a problem, because in Misfits Gaming group, Group A to be more specific, the team that's second placed in their group alone is not even on this board.
No.
The next place team is in the 12th position. Misfits Gaming have dominated their group and most of Group B in that game day competition. A similar story can almost be argued for Group C. They have 4 teams in the top half of our teams overall, shall we say, the top 16. It's looking really good for this group to be a powerhouse of the tournament.
Yeah, exactly right. And let's make no mistake here. First place, it's great to be in, but it gets you nothing other than into the semifinals in 2 weeks' time. Again, just be in that top 24. That is the benchmark where you want to be at the end of the second week of gameplay. But let's take a look at today's schedule. Day 3, week 1, 4 matches to be played off. And if you're looking at this, you might see something a bit different. We're not going to be starting off on Vikendi, and we're not playing any Miramar today.
Well, all the teams had 1 shot at Miramar. That was our first game days. They're now gone. Sanhok is replacing it, and we're going to be seeing that for today's matches, with Erangel closing out for a double, helping at the end of the day. So Sanhok's going to be interesting when it comes up. Let's have a look at some teams that you should be keeping an eye on throughout the rest of this tournament. Misfits and Shoot to Win. They are both respectively first of their groups, but they're also first and second in the standings.
Exactly right. Their kills kind of close to one another as well. Both teams perfectly capable of picking up those frags along the way, but we'll have to see, will they be able to sort of combat that? Are Misfits always going to be at the top, or will some teams sort of get rid of those jitters on week number 1 and come out swinging and close that point gap? We'll have to wait and see, but definitely keep your eyes on those 2 teams, and more specifically, these 2 players, the shining stars of those 2 rosters. Acer, for Misfits, as well as Psycho for Shoot to Win. You can see their stats there, Trid. And what kind of stands out to you, at least, when you're looking at this?
What stands out to me, basically, is just the average kills across all the maps. They played 4 maps already, and considering there's so many players in this tournament at the moment who have 0 kills to their name, the fact you're racking up on average 3.5 if you're Acer is fantastic. Same can be said about Psycho. When you turn around and look at the top kills altogether, though, you know, it lines up with the fact that Misfits have got some top fraggers in there. Uneven on Misfits as well is a good shout for this one, but I think that if we put these players head to head, I think the numbers to speak themselves. Just look at the damage output to back up the kills that Ace is getting, right?
That's what really stands out to me. Acer has almost twice the amount of average damage done than his kills. So you kind of want to see, can Acer close out on those kills, on those knocks rather, and get the flushes? Because adding even more kill points over on the hand of Misfits, well, that would be quite incredible.
And I also think, just quickly before we lose this visual, that the average distance traveled kind of speaks to the fact that Misfits were gifted a lot of good circle RNGs. They didn't have to make long rotations that the likes of Psycho and the rest of Shoot to Win would have had to. But we're on to our first map of the day. We're dropping into Sanhok to kick off today's actions. Group A versus Group C.
And we will be coming out of that northeastern corner, our most favorable playing path of the tournament so far, essentially dissecting Sanhok in half. As that plane path continues on down towards the southwest, our players departing out of the cargo hold, and Totality jumping out almost immediately. They're going to be landing up in that far northeastern corner, pretty much far away from any type of contention. So not a bad spot for Totality, who has a lot to sort of climb out of in this tournament now.
And this smaller map, being able to carve out territory of your own so early on, is going to be absolutely pivotal, because you're going to end up with a lot of engagements coming in early with just the fact that there's not a lot of locations and not a lot of space for these teams to occupy at the same time without being on top of each other. Revenants looking like they've dropped on top of the likes of Misfits. So that's going to be a hot spot dead in the center of the map.
And phase number 1 has popped. It's going to be centered along that quarry area, which can present some interesting and unique challenges of its own should teams find themselves there in the final phases of game number 1 of day number 3. But over here in the boot camp area, one of the more notorious parts of this map, you can see that these teams are already starting to line up. And, well, who is it? None other than Misfits Gaming. 2 members going to be calling in their other teammates for some much-needed support, as Revenants, Peralta, Vigilante, and the rest are starting to at least gather up and stack up as a 4-man squad in the Lobster.
Well, you say what you want about Revenants. They're also one of the kill leaders as a team. They're second place behind Misfits, obviously taking it with the 31 kills total. But they've got 29 kills so far in the tournament, so only 2 separates them. They could take over that spot quite handily in an early engagement if they are to take it with the current tournament leaders.
But here's the thing. We already have shots popping off, and it looks like Misfits Uneven was connected upon. He's dropped down to about 75 HP, but thankfully he had at least a few boosts to work with to try to recover back up to full. He's certainly going to be calling in his teammates, and Misfits have to start to wonder, is this a fight that is necessary for us to take, or can we disengage entirely? Because make no mistake at that, Misfits knows what they need to do to get those points, and judging by day 1, well, it's those chicken dinners.
Yeah, they were able to get, obviously, the final placements and get themselves 30 points for first place, much weighted towards the kills. As Tanker taking a little bit too much damage for his liking. He's going to take some cover, get meted up, as the teams are both very scattered around this solo compound, or this central compound that they're both occupying. I'm even going to back off for now, but just making everyone stay at high tension.
Yeah, I don't think Uneven, rather, has an easy exit from this. He's trying to just bide his time, trying to get some information using that third-person perspective peek over that bit of a roof on the building he's currently holding on to. But we'll see. Tanker's also doing the exact same thing. Acer and Pyra going to be rolling in as well, just holding on to that southwest corner of boot camp, trying to get the best position possible. It's almost like Misfits are putting a circle, a noose around this boot camp area, and are starting to constrict it.
Pakistas going for that rotation, as we've just getting through the point of the circle, starting to travel inwards and start forcing players to head this location, as Miramar taking a few shots at Ranger, Team Wildcard. They're also one of these teams that are locked in a compound together and having to occupy space. Shots are coming in, not actually from Tobirama. His teammate getting some work, as Rain will get the knock onto Hashirama to kick things off, and that's going to make the rest of 4 Hokage come back and close ranks.
And this is the Camp Charlie area, another hotbed for destruction, similar to the boot camp. part of this map, and you can see none of these teams were able to really pick up much loot along the way. No helmets on behalf of some of the members of Hokage, but Wildcard's Rain is starting to posture himself to get some nice damage out should he spot out one of the members of Hokage. Toby Rama off there to the northeast, as well as one other player very close. It's going to be Money up on the third story.
And JPV is going to be knocked down there. It's actually North America F6 to get there, as it's Polar Ace Esports going to start dealing more damage to F6. Barber going to be knocked down as well. I think that's the entire squad just being put on their last life. They may be able to get a clearance here if F2 isn't able to stay alive. He might need to come in there and get the res, but he's getting a couple of knocks himself. Handsome will take out JPB. It looks like they turn it back around to Polar Ace Esports. North America F6, they got themselves back in the board and in this game.
They certainly do. Toby Rama trying to apply some pressure right there. Misfits continuing to light up the kill feed as Wildcard's Rain finally finds the connection with the M16 on top of Money. But will he be able to close it out? Will he be able to find that necessary flush to both pick up the kill points as well as weaken the squad of Hokage? Illusion, though, trying to do just that. Spots out Toby Rama, sprays him down with a QBZ, but does not find the necessary fatal damage, albeit dropping him to about 1 HP.
And while this is going on, that engagement over at Boot Camp, Misfits and Revenants, they've also taken some casualties themselves. Not going to be permanently removed. They will make them think twice about moving forward. Actually, Peralta has lost his life, so now we've got a handicapped Revenant dealing with what looks like a full-strength Misfit squad.
And that's the thing. Full-strength Misfit squads, well, you don't want to be messing with them because they can do some utter damage to your team in the form of knocking you out in that 15th place position, as we already have seen one team drop out so far in the early stages of this game. Not even 6 minutes into game number 1 of the day, and well, the action has been popping off.
It was looking so good for Polar Ace Esports. They just couldn't get the clearance, and the kill confirmed onto F2. He's able to turn it back around and get a couple of reses off and keep North America F6 and say goodbye to Polar Ace Esports. Actually, sorry about that mistake. F2 going to be the solo member remaining as Ranger, and the rest of Wildcards come in there and get the clearance onto Hokage. That's the second squad to be just removed as these teams are starting to be cleared out.
Second squad removed, 4 kills, going the way of Wildcard, certainly the way they want to be starting the game, but you have to continue to worry about this Boot Camp Bravo area where these teams have been clashing sort of not really aggressively. They've been putting out the poke shots. They've been getting some knocks, some trades back and forth, but they're losing so much time in terms of any rotations for better positioning, as well as picking up that much needed armor and utility along the way. As Pyra continues to wrap around, it looks like the members of Misfits are getting closer together as a squad, at least closer than we've seen them so far this game.
And they're also moving further away from Revenants as well, trying to get some occupation. Hello. Grenade going inside that building. Going to try and chase down that kill. He's already knocked for himself. Team Anarchy James wants to go in for the confirmation, but just hiding around that corner. He's not seen him, even with the third-person perspective. He's going to walk straight past him. He's going to go into another hut. Are they leaving these kills alive for a particular reason? Well, he just stall it out a little bit longer as he goes for the spray against Totality. James, unable to find it, going to throw a grenade over the rock, won't even hit the damage here, switching the weapon at the wrong time, may go down here, but no, the spray's too good. He'll knock down Richie and put Totality even closer to being removed.
Trid, we talked about it at the onset of this game. Totality landed up there in the far northeastern part of Sanhok all alone, but now they have found themselves amidst a little bit of chaos, and well, you don't want to see this. If you're Totality, you're on the bottom 8 of the leaderboard, and you have to keep that climb up, because we've got about 4 days after this that these teams are going to have to look back, do some research, do some VOD review, try to at least correct some of those very critical mistakes they saw here in week 1. And Totality certainly needs to get back to the drawing board if they go out early again. 14 teams though remaining, and that's going to be Triggs, the solo member of this squad, totally disengaging around the northern side of Phase 1.
Our second solo operator on the run, F2, also the last hope for North America, F6, after his squad was wiped out, so we're going to be dealing with those. We saw how impactful solo operators could be in the previous 2 days, getting into third and second place finishes just by waiting out these engagements, and the wait towards placements makes that a viable strategy when things start to go wrong. We're having a look at the next, well, the circle coming in shortly. It's still forcing all these players further and further to the east. I'm looking at a version 2 White, who are going to have to go past that team error, who are trying to head down towards Camp Charlie and go across the bridge, heading towards Cave.
Yeah, the southwestern corner of the map as well, getting pretty crowded. Tempo as well as Shoguns and Wildcard inhabiting that area. And well, version 2 White, they have got to come in, and it's not going to be easy at all. But the circle, phase number 2, continues to stay a little bit centered, a little bit off to the east, actually, of Corey now, but still could shift over back to the west. But not incredibly difficult rotations for these teams. This is one that we did point out, version 2 White, Mega 19, and the rest of the squad cruising in right now. We'll see if their path takes them through any conflict.
Should be fine for the time being. Tempo off to their north. They may get a spot on them if they continue down this path, but they're taking cover in the terrain. They're playing around it and keeping to the edges of the map, but they are moving closer to Camp Charlie and that crossing, which might put them in the sight lines of Error and potentially Wildcard and Shoguns.
And here they are, Wildcard down in the cave. One of the more unique features of this Sanhok map, you can drop down in there. Usually you find a jet ski or a boat as well down below, as well as some much needed loot. But one thing it does sort of lack is that positioning, that good positioning that you're looking for. Shots popping off though. Version 2 White going to be able to find some kills right there in the form, I believe, Team Error.
It was Error
losing out.
Knocked. Yeah, getting knocked down there. We expected that engagement as they just caught them, and still got members of Error on that western side, just on the edge of the circle. They need to find their way in, but now you've got Version 2 White playing gatekeeper to that entire entrance. It's going to be difficult for them to find a way into this. We're on board with Wildcard. Got a nice high ground advantage over Shoguns, who are just hiding out of these buildings.
Blue zone starting to shrink in on phase number 2 as we approach the 10-minute mark of game number 1 here on Sanhok, but it's going to be Shogun spotted out. Illusions just waiting for the right peak coming out of Yoda to snap that head back and pick up another kill. But will it happen? That's what we're kind of waiting to see. Good high ground positioning though from Wildcard to essentially do just that. Hopefully wipe out Shoguns.
I like what they're doing here as well. They're sending Ranger off to the side to get that crossfire if they try and run out in a sight line that this high ground squad does not have. Look at that, Ranger opening up straight onto Dex. Just going to get that kill confirmed as well. Shogun's now hindered, unable to take this engagement and fair footing.
That kill was really a product of Shogun not knowing that Wildcard was posturing on the hill, but more shots coming out. It's going to be Ranger dropping down Filthy. Another kill on behalf of Shoguns is about to come up right now if Ranger feels confident enough to push into this building and secure the knock. But he is going to be doing that as more shots come out. 2 members left for the Shoguns, but Rika going to be knocked. That leaves just Yoda now, the solo champion for his squad against a 4-stack of Wildcard.
I'm not sure if they know the exact position of where Yoda is, but it's not looking good for him. I don't think he can go in there and save his teammates, especially with all eyes on him. He's hoping that they'll just pass and assume that he's already hit the hay and head off to the land of Nod where he can just dream of better futures, but keeping an eyesight. Wants to try and protect the corpse, maybe get a surprise kill as Illusions will finish off Rice. There's nothing that Yoda could have done about that, and now he just has to stay quiet and hope that this storm passes.
Unfortunate part about Shogun's positioning here, 3 buildings inside of this compound, that will they split up amongst all 3. So yes, they are not able to bridge those gaps right across the open areas, and that's going to be it. Illusions finds the solo player of Shoguns and takes them out in 14th position.
And still, we spoke a little bit about Error trying to find their way onto this now, what has become the island of play. Still having Version 2 White playing Gatekeeper. They're so close to the territory that Wildcard's operating as well. Firing shots here would also alert them of their position and let Wildcards know that there's a team coming in behind them indefinitely.
Phase number 3 has popped. We have seen the circle shift a little bit off center, but not too far drastically. If you were a team that bombed center off of phase number 1, you're likely still going to be in a decent position as we see Shoot to Win posturing up dead center. Psycho, Lopez, and the rest of the crew dangerously nearby, though, to that Corey position that Tempo has now started to take up.
The Misfits are coming in. They want to get into the fight as well, get that central position. Unnamed, a team that we haven't really seen moving around the map much because they already had such a good spot. Care package coming in the middle of Tempest, Shoot to Win, Misfits, that's all on the cards for them if they're brave enough to go for it and venture into the open terrain.
And here they are, Percasauce on behalf of Misfits, going to be scanning the area south of Corey, trying to spot out any enemy opponents, and he can possibly get some damage out on, whittle away at their armor and whatever type of utility they have. Not seeing anything just yet. That will soon change as we reach the boiling point of this Sanhok map. But Tempo Storm, they're going to be spotting out a team, putting out some nice poke shots from a distance. It's going to be Shoot to Win on the receiving side.
And Lost being the person that spotted out the IGL, sorry, of Tempo Storm. She's going to have that information to hand. Shoot to Win, Ulysses, get on the board. Spec being knocked, one of the kill leaders of the tournament so far. He's just been taken out. That's a huge loss for Tempo if they can't get the resuscitation out. You've got the brains in the form of Lost. You need that big gun. You need the muscles to start inflicting some damage. And he's trapped behind a rock, and the team's I don't think they've got a path to get to him safely because Shoot to Win is just holding over this corpse.
And that's the thing. They would have to pop so many smokes in the form of utility and risk so much across those wide open areas of the Corey to get there that, yes, Spec is going to be a lost cause. And there it is. Ulysses confirms the kill. 1 down for Tempo Storm as they continue into the mid-game. And Shoot to Win, well, they're going to be happy with what they are accomplishing so far.
Just an update on Error. Oh, wait, Nico taking some fire. Asa from behind, so they've already gone away from one of the stronger teams, and they've just gone straight into the current leader at the time. Misfits just taking them down, so Nico now in a position where it's going to force Tempo to go for the res. Lost. He's by himself, though, right now. He might have to just cut his losses and just play for placement.
And that's exactly what he's going to have to do at this stage in the game. But as we have seen over the course of the weekend, playing for placement is not too bad of a strategy as long as you're able to make it there. Certainly being 3 men down is not the prime situation, but hey, some of these players possess the skill. We're going to see it right now. NAF6, F2 going to be trying to spray down one of the members of Revenant's. Tanker, though, does exactly that. Tanks the shots with about 2 HP to his name and wipes out that enemy player.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for F6. They really needed a higher finish here to start getting back into the game. They've got themselves in a position where it's not the worst they could be in the standings, relying more on placement than they have been relying on kills so far. But Revenants, they're a 3-man squad. They're still pretty lethal. Tanker's going to have to heal up after, like you say, tanking a lot of that damage. He's going to be in a position where the rest of Revenants can still continue their campaign. But they're in the northern sector. You've got the likes of Totality up in that position. You've got another team coming in from the east as well. It's Team Anarchy from that northern position that may run into Triggs before they even get close to hitting Revenants.
And this is what you hate to see if you're one of those teams posturing up towards the northeastern side of our previous phase. A hard shift down to the southwest is where our teams will be forced to go. Thankful for Tempo Storm's loss, though. That solo player we were just talking about, he's not going to have to move, and that's incredibly impactful for how he's going to be able to survive this game, how he's going to be able to save the first game of day number 3 for Tempo. But Shoot to Win is still on the northeastern side of the circle. They're going to be looking as the kill feed starts to pop up. Unnamed going to be finding one of the members of Envy. A clash on the northeastern side of things.
They can just hold this anchor position and keep firing down. These teams trying to make rotations. Knockhead and Creature being the first victims as Raven's just going to take cover and get some loot. As Creature's going to have that kill confirmed. It's not looking too hot right now for Envious. This is just Reckless and Rush. Still trying to find a way in. They've only got 2 kills to their name over the entire tournament so far. They need to be finding more. They're keeping it alive for now. Sin's going to open up onto them. Reckless now being knocked. It just is going to leave the solo Rush player. He may not be able to go in for the res, unfortunately, Esquire.
And Envy is the team that has to do something big here. Just like Totality, they are looking pretty low on the leaderboards. They can't be having a game like this where they go out essentially in the bottom 6 of this tournament because albeit they will be picking up at least a few points. If they go out right now in 11th position, they'll be taking away 5 points from placements, but that's not going to be enough if you're trying to get into those top 24. You need consistency across the board to show that you're a team worthy of the semifinals.
Team Anarchy are just running up and they're getting closer and closer to Shoot to Win. Ulysses 24, I think he's got eyes on him. He's been tanking shots down. Just going to be blown away by 9 from this low ground position. Is Miski going to follow up onto Lopez? So Shoot to Win are fighting a battle on 2 fronts. They're unable to keep it together as they have to close ranks. Reckless finally being taken out. So Envious now going to be confirmed that it's just Rush as the solo player. But look at Shoot to Win. They're fighting just to get these 2 players up. Ulysses and Lopez need to come up. Psycho trying to hold the Storm at bay, but he has to retreat. There's too much pressure coming out from the Unnamed.
Well, Unnamed is feeling the brunt of the Shoot to Win squad. With only 2 left alive, you have to applaud Shoot to Win on what they were able to put out, the pressure being applied. But here comes Team Anarchy as well. Psycho and his teammate Rafa have to do something big here as Revenants pop into the building. Tanker going to be taking more damage, but he gets the knock on a Psycho, a flush as well as Revenants continue to just mop up squads left and right. They're going to be rolling here, and they know that there are other enemy opponents pushing up. They heard the skirmishes popping off in this area.
And Unnamed has just cleaned up a member from the side of Team Anarchy. Oh, no, sorry, that's the other way around. Anarchy may have got the flank there onto the Unnamed. Sin's going to go for the Resurrection as Pyra actually taking damage from Wildcard now as Misfits trying to find a way into this smaller circle on the western front.
There are 4 different teams clustered up here into the northeast, and you can only expect the action to pop off just like it is. Sin able to find out James of Team Anarchy. You still have Killer down the hill, though, trying to avoid these shots, trying to use that third-person perspective to see where his enemies may lie as Ulysses holds the door where Revenant is currently hiding. Look at Team Anarchy's position, trying to crawl underneath the building. Killer going to be spotted out and taken down.
And James is just going to die to the blue zone now. I think that's Anarchy just going to be wiped out of this one. You've got Micro TT and 9 still alive to try and contend this one. Espinoza, Tanker, and the rest of Revenants are occupying relative safety. But now the circle has moved onto Cave. Wildcards are in prime position as Misfits are going to make an early rotation to get in there to match them. This fight on the northeastern border is going to erupt if teams do not time this rotation correctly.
Well, if you didn't leave already, well, you're kind of caught in a tough position. It's going to be a meat grinder up here towards the northeast as all 4 of these teams try to make their way down to the cave area where our final landscape, at least of game number 1, will be taking place. Unnamed, trying to work their way through this building, trying to avoid any dangerous lines of sight as Revenant's Tanker continues to frag out. 3 kills for the Revenant so far, 2 on behalf of Tanker, and he spots out another member of Team Anarchy down in the quarry.
Needs to run though, the blue zone coming in, has to get there, but he has to look behind him to Shoot to Win and trying to come up behind. They can just hold this and try and fight them off. It may be advantageous for them as Tanker will get that kill onto Rush. Rafa. Chico still going to be knocked down there by some other players across the map, but Rafa finally getting the kill confirmed. Tanker able to get that one as the rest of, well, Revenants are going to head towards the circle and hopefully evade the blue. Tanker may go down there. No, the play zone. Going to get the knock, but the rest of the team can't go back and save him because they have to worry about themselves now as they look to med up and contend a higher position in this map.
We actually just saw our second place team on the leaderboards go out, shoot to win in 10th place position. Certainly the worst performance of the tournament by them so far, but if there's anything they've shown us is that they can bounce back off of that as the kills continue to rack up across the map. The blue zone being a detrimental force of pressure behind the backs of all of those teams coming out of that northeastern side. Wildcard, they're going to be spotting out version 2 Black. They're going to be spraying him down. Sprat goes down as Ranger continues to collapse on these enemy squads.
Ranger just going to be able to get those kills, but it's quite funny that the Blue Zone has more kills than Team Envious at this point. Quite frankly, you need to be stepping up your game as Ranger just going to rotate round, come and regroup with Rain and get eyes on what could be a potential engagement down to the west. It's version 2 Whites just holding it down there. You've also got Team Error just trying to stay in that fight as well.
Next phase has popped, phase number 6 in full effect, and while the cave is still going to be in play on that eastern side of the circle, you can drop down in there. Some of the insides area of the cave will be playable as well, but you kind of find yourself stuck in there should you opt to go inside. As you can see, a lot of the teams posturing on the edge, but it's really Wildcard holding on to that dominant position just atop the cave as many teams are starting to work their way in. A 4-man squad of Snakes, version 2 White, going to be pushing up the hill right now, and Wildcard's face for Illusion spots him out, tries to spray down with the AKM, and well, they're going to be finding 2 knocks. 2 players left of this version 2 White squad trying to wrap around the opposite end, trying to avoid these angles that have now been presented upon them from atop the hill.
Illusion's trying to press forward, but he has to be careful. A bad player coming up on his flank as the shots are coming in from the other side as well as Maluma trying to find something, but he's going to be dropped down. It's going to be Zeus picking up that kill as Reptile's also dealt with, so Error now being kicked out of the fight as well. Wildcard still trying to hold onto this position. Version 2 White needs to get Mega back because it's just bad play when was left standing and left able to fight, but Mega's also running away from the blue zone. He should be able to get in the cover, but will his team be able to res him? It's a different story. It's bad player. Now going to clear out Zeus, returning some fire, having to shoot through the smoke. Going to find that next knock onto Illusions as well. He's trying to get rid of the rest of Wildcard. The blue zone's coming in. I don't know if they've got the options to stay alive here. Rain, I believe, is the last standing member of this team. As version 2 Black go on the offensive, try and deal with it. Collins gonna take out Ranger, get those kill confirms. He's by himself. Now Rain's gonna be dealt with as version 2 Black come out and clear them away.
Collins continuing to try to watch the 2 sister teams in this lobby. Might be going head-to-head here in a few moments, but the biggest takeaway is that 4 men of Misfits still surviving, and they're going to be spraying down. Bad player immediately knocked. 1 player left for version 2 White. It is going to be right up the hill from where their current position is. Waz just trying to hide from our top team currently in the North American region. Spraying down, spots him out, and he's going to be able to find the knock and the kill. Out goes version 2 White in 4th position.
It's just going to leave version 2 Black, Envious Rush, as well as Misfits, and they've got the full-powered squad to come in and get another victory in this tournament. The circle is going to push towards them. They've got the edge being played quite nicely here by Acer. They're going to open up the fire. Percocets from long distance, trying to contend version 2 Black on the high ground. They can only abuse it for so long. The circle will have to eventually force their hand, but they can play very close to the mountain and make that high ground sightlines less advantageous.
Misfits continuing to show why they are atop the leaderboards, why they have such a dominant point lead even on 2nd place. Shoot to win prior to this game, sitting in that position. We'll have to see what Misfits can continue to rack up over the course of the tournament because it does not seem like they're going to be holding back whatsoever. They have a strategy, they have a plan, and it's going to an effect. But Percocets of Misfits going to be knocked immediately. Version 2 Black with the high ground position. A beautiful position for them to just lob grenades like they're doing on top of the Misfits. The pressure being applied, they might be able to find some damage to boot.
They got Percocets back up, but there's the nade coming in, sends him straight back down. Pyro missing a chunk of his HP as well. So version 2 Black trying to contend away our tournament leaders. Rush in the meantime, he's deep in the cave. He's hiding out, trying to wither the storm. And the circle's actually going to move towards him and force the hands of version 2 Black and Misfits to try and make a rotation.
Biggest takeaway that I am seeing now in one of our second to last phases of the game, Envious still has 1 player alive, vying for that placement inside the cave. And he's going to be in play, but version 2 Black Collins spots out another member of Misfits. Significant damage being applied as the return fire comes out from Percocets. All 4 members still alive, but Acer dropped down to a mere 10 HP.
Percocets now going to be able to get some resing off. He needs to stay out of this blue zone as it starts to move in, force their hand. They haven't got very far to go, but it's just going to be opened up on by Slav. Taking down Percocets. There's a grenade being thrown up by Pyro. Wants to try and get the arc and force Collins away. They're throwing everything up there, but they've not been able to dislodge him. He's just going to have to be able to hold this position and deny Misfits that rotation they want to take.
There it is, one player left now. Collins trying to spray down, able to find another connection. The third knock for Perkasas just in this part of the map right now as they continue to frag out. He's going to be trying to stick to res. He's got the window of opportunity by virtue of the high ground. The Envious player not impactful at all. He can't do anything from inside of the cave other than bide his time with 3 teams remaining, a 2-player per team average. And it's all going to come down to what can Misfits do here against the onslaught that Collins and his teammate have been putting out.
He's got that 7 kills under his belt already. Collins looking for more of those. Uneven, playing around with the idea of pushing forward, trying to get as close to that terrain and hopefully force a drop down from version 2 Black, as they're still going to be staying strong with this game plan. Rush off in that cave still. You can see him. He's not going to be able to engage with this one. Energy drinks being popped. We're about to see things explode.
And here's the thing. Final phase of the game. The ultimate collapse here in phase number 9. It's going to be coming down to a med battle, at least in terms of Envious. What can they do inside of there? We're going to have our eyes on them, but also Collins up here on the hill finds another knock on the Misfits. Uneven. Going to be going down this time. Pyra and Acer, they've got to do something here, playing this very aggressively. This is the thing. Version 2 Black has no idea that there are 3 teams still remaining. They're hedging their bet that it is going to essentially be the Misfits trying to climb up the hill as Pyra gets choked out completely by the blue zone, but sprays up and finds the connection on the Slav. This is going to be the solo member Collins from version 2 Black trying to do whatever he can to save the game, and he's going to be able to do so. Now it's left to a 1v1. The player from Envy is down inside of the cave trying to med as fast as possible, and Collins up atop the cave trying to do exactly the same thing.
We need to see their resources. I don't think Rush has got enough. He's going to pop the med kit. He's only got 1, and it's not going to come in fast enough. That's going to be Collins with a monstrous performance, making sure that version 2 Black will take that first map win of the day.
An 11-kill finish, certainly the way to start off the day. Get that ball of momentum rolling. But also a huge takeaway for me is the fact that Envious came up so strong in this game, except didn't really have the kills to go along with it, but 22 points from placement alone is essentially more points than I think they've racked up in the entirety of this tournament so far.
I believe it is. They only had 2 kill points and a little bit of placement going on here, but they still going to stay on those 2 kill points, unfortunately. As you can see, 0 kills to their name so far.
That's okay though, Trent. That's okay.
Fine. That's fine. So no, they've already got 26 points from placement, so they're going to be adding a nice little bonus, but I believe it, depending on how these scores have gone for other teams, that might actually be enough to put them into the realms of safety outside of that relegation zone, so to speak.
Safety in terms of at the end of week 1, but certainly there is one more week. Let's pop over, though, to the schedule and take a look.
Yeah, let's see what's going on here. So, of course, we've got Sanhok to kick things off, but Vikendi, Erangel, they're coming up pretty soon. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you our second map of the day.
Welcome back, everyone, to day number 3 of the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American region. We just saw Game 1 played, and, well, it was version 2 Black coming up with a huge first-place finish with 11 kills. But, Trid, more importantly, more crazy, I guess, about that match was it came down to a med-off. One player down inside a cave for Envious, and one above for version 2 Black.
I don't know how I feel about that one, Esquire. He got himself a good position and got some extra points, much needed for Team Envious. He wasn't exactly an active participant after the squad went down quite early, and so he'd have to be hiding out there, and it did contend against our second place team. Let's talk more about them. Version 2 Black, Collins coming in with a fantastic kill count, leading his team to victory in that instance. With the fragging he was able to pull out. So that's a good call and a good play for version 2 Black. They've not quite got into the top 8 yet like their sister team version 2 White, but maybe we'll see them. There you go. They're currently placed 11th as we look to move into our second map of the day.
Yes, exactly that. So climbing up the leaderboard, you start to see at least some point disparities as we continue on down towards those 13th through 16th positions. Certainly some teams are not playing here today. It's groups A and C that are going head-to-head in day 3's lobby. Groups B and D, well, they're going to have to at least take a few days off and come back in week number 2 of the group stages with a quickness.
Friday, to be more specific. Let's have a look at 2 teams we need to be keeping an eye on. No surprise here. It's our tournament leaders, Misfits, coming into Vikendi, and also Revenants on here. We need to keep an eye on these guys, especially on Vikendi. They had a fantastic game on yesterday when they played. 13 kills total. They got themselves not quite that first place finish. Shoot to win, unfortunately, pulled that one out of the bag. They could be real contenders in this next matchup against Group A.
Exactly that. Total points, 79 to 164, twice the points on Misfits. So certainly a dominant team on your left-hand side of things, but nothing can be taken away from Revenants. Let's look a little bit more closely, though, at some of the players from these 2 squads. Well, Acer, once again, no surprises on the left-hand side representing Misfits, but over here on the right, it's going to be Espinoza from Revenants. Look at their stats, though, sort of at least similar in terms of their average distance traveled, but where you start to see a little bit of differences is certainly that average damage done. We talked about it. Acer, he's got crazy average damage done. His kills, he's not really finishing. There are a lot of knocks that he's getting that aren't really coming up into those kill points.
You can extrapolate him being a team player in this instance as well, dealing the damage and letting someone else come in and take all the glory and the credit.
You would hope so. You would hope that they're still getting the kills, but hey, kills can be stolen away, and kills can, or rather knocks can also be res, so who knows what he's going to be able to pull up. But I think if there's anything that is sort of developing over the course of that game number 1, it's showing us that it's going to be an action-packed day. Or rather, Sanhok did not leave anything at least up in the air. We knew from the start, from the get-go, that it was going to be non-stop chaos for these teams.
And if you're just joining us now, just as a reminder, the winner of Sanhok was version 2 Black. They were able to come out there with the victory. Map number 2 for today is Vikendi before we head into our double serving of Erangel. And we've seen a lot of teams play around multiple bits of territory in this one. The circles on our past 2 days haven't really been the most central. They've often been, if I recall correctly, both have been quite eastern. I don't think we've had a western circle on Vikendi yet. Yeah,
it hasn't been exactly friendly. The Cosmodrome has been a setting or landscape for the final engagements on day number 1. We'll see what happens here, though. Day number 3, certainly a different day, Trid, a different day altogether. We'll see how things go, because certainly we saw the most favorable playing path of the tournament so far in match number 1 of the day. But who knows? It could all be left up to luck, I guess, at least off at the start. Phase 1 will be very interesting as our plane goes up. Players going to be going up into the plane as well. And let's get into game number 2. Up in the air we go, and from northwest down to southeast is where this plane's trajectory is taking us.
Fairly central, giving a lot of options for all of our players. And with a new group comes new territories to carve out. You know, these may have clashing drop zones, and we might see some early engagements because of that fact, as teams are starting to depart the vehicle, the aircraft, and start getting themselves down onto the ground and beginning their looting spree.
And Vikendi, let's talk about it. It's the newest map here in the PUBG Mobile lineup. It's essentially still in its beta phase, but we are playing it here. It is a 6x6 kilometer map falling in the middle in terms of the sizes of Erangel and Miramar in the 8x8 kilometer maps, and then down into Sanhok in the 4x4. So we'll see how these players can play off against that. Expect some third-party engagements as we continue on towards the mid-game.
Just dropping down nice and early. Good split happening. Most teams favoring this western southmost border, but the circle Let's keep him to the east. They're going to have to just drop down, land, get some loot, and head on over to the eastern side. Unnamed, they're in a good position to capitalize here. So are Wildcarders. They're going to land quite central to where this Phase 1 circle is going to force teams.
Not a bad spot for them to be in that Podvosto area. We might see a team go back to Castle like we did on day number 1. And if they do, they're going to be getting a nice loot infusion, but have to worry about those exit strategies. Spec from Tempo Storm, we saw him go out pretty early. The impact player, I think it's safe to say, of this Tempo Storm squad. Hopefully he has a better time surviving so he can get some kills and hopefully even further placements for his team.
And Unnamed just making that drop zone down into Trevno on the northeast side of the map. But there's some engagements happening over to the west. North America F6, I believe, taking some shots over at Team Anarchy and vice versa near Dobro Mestro. Just they trying to give them a few warning shots, tell them to stay out of this town. This is theirs, but Happy gonna get knocked. It's Chico there to be able to make sure that they're knocking someone down in that past engagement.
Going to be a kill secure as well as the other 3 members of this squad start to rotate around that southwestern side of town. But here comes version 2 Black as well, sort of drawn over towards this Dobromesto area. And this could be a 3-way engagement should they continue on that path. Taking a look over here at Collins. What a game he had in game number 1 on Sanhok. We'll see if we can get a repeat performance out of that ultimate fragger here on this map. But certainly NAF6 starting off on a backwards foot. They're going to have a lot to work out of from this far western position, given that rotation across the entirety of this map.
It could be the version 2 Black, like moths drawn to a flame, and that flame, of course, is the force of third-partying this engagement. F6, I think they're conscious of it. They've got the third-party information being provided. They've just seen that they are not alone in this town beyond the likes of Team Anarchy, who they're obviously already aware of, having lost Happy to the chaos that's ensuing in this engagement. But Chico going for a jump around, maybe looking into getting to an angle where he's going to be by himself because Handsome, he's playing quite as a solo operator. Lopez is going to get knocked over there on the other side of the map as he's hearing for the footsteps. Going around, he's got eyes on, but he's not going to take a shot. And there he goes, sprays him down. Handsome going to abuse the fact that Chico did not check his corners. And now this is time for F6 to capitalize. They can take this free-on-free engagement and hopefully remove version 2 Black from the map.
Version 2 Black, I don't think they had any idea that NAF6 was lying in wait here. Handsome going to be knocked immediately by Sprat. He's trying to get the flush, but here comes F2 providing that support, dropping Sprat down. He's going to be knocked as well as NAF6 starts to swarm on top of our victors of game number 1 of day 3, and out goes Collins as well. The entirety of version 2 Black wiped out in 16th position in the early stages of game number 2.
From awards to ashes, we've just seen version 2 Black win that previous map, and now they're first to go out on Vikendi. This might reinvigorate F6. It might be the morale booster they need to potentially look to take this engagement against Team Anarchy once they get control of the game, get some meds, and potentially pick up some much better loot from what was acquired from version 2 Black.
So my thoughts on this is version 2 Black, they had landed a little bit far away from this. I don't think they were close enough to hear the shots popping off between these 2 squads inside of this Dobromestro area. They walked in, they had guns behind their back, they were hopping through the wide open areas of the street, and they got absolutely exploited by the team of NAF6 that was lying in wait and capitalized beautifully.
They scary bared them. There's nothing more to say about it. We're looking at the map. There's a 2-2 split going on for Polar Ace Esports just around that coal mine area. To the north of them, you got Revenants just trying to get more of that loot before they have to move in and head over to this eastern circle, as we're going to lose nearly 2/3 of the map just from phase 1.
Looking at all of these teams that have to make that rotation, the southwestern area of the map getting a little bit crowded over near the winery area. We did see one member of Shoot to Win get knocked. I believe the flush was confirmed as well. But Wildcard and Podvosto, they have 4 Hokage moving up on that southwestern flank, and already some of the members of Wildcard are looking that direction, starting to spot out maybe an enemy approach coming from that direction.
Both squads still at full strength as Ranger going to head further to the north of this one and start forcing out of this town, potentially this compound that's available for them. They press up to the north and looking to avoid it, but there you go, you can see 4 Hokage. They have a little bit of an advantage. There's a 2-2, Toby Rama and Hashirama just occupying the same area. Zeus and Rain, well, Rain's waiting in the getaway car just in case things start to go south. He's there ready for the fast escape. No, he's going to jump back out. Maybe go back to looting here. I'm not sure how much information they have exactly of each other in this small location.
I don't think much, but that's the smart decision to make. He was essentially a sitting duck inside of that vehicle. Pops out now, though, and is fully aware of ForHokic's presence. And that's going to be Toby Rama with the UMP, finding the connection on top of Ranger as well as the flush. One member going down here for wildcard as ForHokic continues to posture. They've got their other two members starting to slide in now near this Podvosto area, but a huge grenade coming out from wildcard goes through the window and connects on top of Toby Rama.
Illusions with the arm of God. Just going to knock Toby Rama down, and you can see Hashirama has to react. He's trying to find a way to protect his teammate, but Illusion's just going to go straight through the front door, potentially up the stairs, and go and find himself that kill. Hashirama is in no position to help him. That's going to be a member down going for ForHokic, so they return the favor and avenge their fallen comrade.
A nice trade coming out between these two squads. 3v3 scenario, though, as they continue to duke it out here in the Podvosto area. Smoke's going to be coming out, trying to prevent any type of line of sight from coming out of the building that wildcard now inhabits. They're certainly going to be looking, utilizing that third-person perspective to try to spot out Tsukasa inside of the vehicle. He's spotted out. Sure enough, the damage will be applied, dropping him down to about 45% HP. And Illusions knows that he had the connections. He's aggressively pushing and finds the knock.
Inside that vehicle. Immediately straight back out. Illusions for applying too much pressure. Look at the cover Zeus is going to provide as well. Looking at that angle and keeping Tsunade out of this fight. But a molly being thrown in by Hashirama might be able to be there to force Illusions away. Tsukasa still alive in that smoke. And the rest of ForHokic trying to think about how they can get to this man and get him back up. And Sune going to apply some pressure. Zeus still holding the angle behind the wall. He knows exactly where he is. But Tsukasa, I don't think they're going to be able to get to him in time. As Hashirama just being kept at bay, the same could be said for Tsunade as well. Wildcard are just outmaneuvering what ForHokic can achieve as they down another member. Tsunade now behind the tree. Tsukasa going to be finally finished off. It's just on Hashirama to stay alive here and keep their placement point potential alive.
And Wildcard is certainly going to be trying to find the snake in the grass or on the frozen tundra. Hashirama going to be spotted out, tries to spray down Illusions, who's pushing up, but here comes the other members of Wildcard. The AKM shots will be ringing true, and out goes that squad right there. ForHokic losing a lot in the early stages of Vikendi, and Wildcard coming up with a nice 4 kills. They've got to get Illusions up, though. They have to continue on here in this game.
ForHokic being our second squad of the map to depart us, as more and more teams have vacated that western side of the map and they're starting to move into the east. You've got Tempo and Polar Ace getting very cozy up in the north as Unnamed can open up onto Killer. As Raven finally drop onto 2 members of Team Anarchy. They're just holding this position, looking to rotate round. You can see Max on the flank, but Micro TT and his comrade, they're trying to get away as fast as they can.
Blue zone now shrinking in on phase number 1. It's about 25% of the way there, so the rotations are certainly coming out. Down to the south, we are starting to see at least a few teams that might have to cross the same paths to get over to the eastern side of Vikendi. As Unnamed starts to recover from this engagement, they got to get together. They're utilizing some utility to pick up some loot. You have to wonder, will this come back to bite them as we approach the mid to late game coming up here in a few minutes? But Raven is certainly looking good as the rest of his team try to figure out how they're going to be able to make any rotations.
And Revenants took a very safe passage back into the circle. They looped all the way around north of Cosmodrome just to stay out of that sometimes hotly contested area. As you're going to drive in and get themselves into the circle. Raven bringing over the Dacia to jump his teammates in. We're on board with Totality right now. Been relatively quiet this game. They're off into the southeasternmost point of this map, I believe. Oh no, they're just over to the east on the pathway. A lot of teams converging on them, especially Misfits who are in the area as well. This could go wrong for them if they're unable to maintain this position. If you look at the compound, there they are. They're still leading Misfits after that third place finish on Sanhok, our first map of the day.
Yeah, and if Misfits keeps this up, no one's going to be able to catch that first place position. But again, keep in mind, first place does not get anything special other than, of course, the same entry that all top 24 teams from these group stages will be getting into the semifinals. But a good performance nonetheless can strike fear into your opponents as this tournament continues on. Shogun's filthy. He's hearing the shots off to this northern sector. He's going to be looking as our team. It's going to be Error slides in here. Reptar and Swift taking damage in the Dacia as they try to find a safe place to go, but if they continue up that hill, it's not going to be what they're looking to find, and well, they're forced to stop here inside of this compound. A smart move because it's completely empty.
Yeah, you do not want to be heading up that hill against that team because there are a couple of hot shooters up there. Just going to wreck you if you do. So they're happy to take this territory for now. Just stay here. 3 members. They'll make that 4 of Error still in the game, and it was Shoguns up on the high ground with that LOS on them. And they're already in a fortified position. Even if you think you can out-frag them, maybe not from this defensive position they maintain.
Sort of in a loose pinch, actually, as well, in between Totality and Shogun. Have to wonder if an engagement pops off here. Will Totality see this as an opportunity to possibly rack up some points? Because, again, in the bottom 8 coming into today, they went out very, very early in Sanhok. And while Phase 2 has popped, we continue on this Eastern theme as all of these teams are going to have to find a better position inside of this circle. For the most part, a few teams in dominant positions. Shogun's actually not looking too bad. They're not going to have to move, so you won't see them clash with the likes of Error or Totality or Misfits just yet.
It's Luis from Team Error, just going to be holding this position in one of these buildings that's occupying the compound they have control of. There's Hot Jukes as well, player who has led teams before in his previous teams in his PUBG Mobile career. Lewis just keeping an eye on the field. In terms of rotations coming in, we only have Polar Ace Esports still not in this next circle as engagement coming out. Richie finally opening it up onto Psycho from Shoot to Win, one of the teams to watch. He's going to be locked down. There's a lot of fire coming from across the way, and Richie will secure it, but it's Team Anarchy sitting right on top of Rafa, who's now going to get burnt down by Micro TT. So Shoot to Win, our second place team at the start of the day, going out here again. It's just Martin alive, and he's all the way around the back, just holding that position by the tree. He can't get to Rafa. They're just locking down this corpse. They're waiting for him, though. They know he's here, and Martin gets in the UAZ. He's just going to drive away. There's nothing he can do. He's got to play for placement at this point.
Yeah, unfortunate to see it happen, but at least they were able to escape with one player alive, try to champion for their squad as a solo player continuing on here in game number 2. But with our phase number 2, about 30 seconds until the blue zone starts to shrink in, there is a bit of time for repositions before that ultimate pressure is applied. Martin finding himself a nice hillside to hide behind, a safe spot for a solo player, at least on this eastern coast.
You're going to kick over a rock and a scorpion is going to sting you. His name's Martin right now, just trying to hide out. He might be able to catch someone off guard if he lures too close into his territory, as Richie's just going to disable the vehicle, try and remove some mobility away from these enemies that are in his nearest vicinity. His Team Anarchy, he wants to deny that UAZ from them.
Totality over here, Triggs and the crew, like we talked about, trying to have a massive game here. At least one of these games, multiple games here today, they've got to do something because, again, this is going to be the end of week number 1 of the group stages. One more week of group stages before we cut those bottom 8 teams, and Lord Fudo and crew have to do big things. They need kills, they need placement points to boot. But over here, Tempo Storm still posturing as a 4-man squad on the far northern side of phase number 2, just off of the flank of Revenants,
who are occupying that high ground to the south. They're going to have to traverse up that hill. Our name's currently taking an engagement, taking a few shots, I believe, with Wildcards. They've been battling on and off for this past phase. Wildcards, they're heading south. They might actually end up running into Martin if they're not too careful, who's trying to hide it away in those rocks at the eastmost side of Vikendi. But Tempo, just carrying to try and find the loot. Got an M4 to his hand on the side of Lost. That's going to help him out there. A lot of players are favoring that weapon right now.
Tempo's rotating right into where Revenants are currently holding. We might see an engagement pop off there just north of the central point of phase number 2. Revenants looking out the window. They're hearing the vehicles. They know that an enemy squad is approaching. But will they expect the 3 members of Tempo on that southwestern flank? Certainly they heard the vehicle wrap around to the northwest, but will they be watching these angles? It's certainly important for them to do so, but look at Revenants. They're so spread out in this compound, and what we've seen teams be absolutely whittled away at when they are this spread out, not able to provide that support if a solo player gets knocked.
Peralta's holding the outside, so he's not actually in the building himself. That does create more options because he has a wider range of movement, shall we say, than just having to go over 1 or 2 exits from a building. Nico's going to get inside that UAZ. They have control of 2 of your Tempo, so they can have a little bit of mobile cover to play with as they're looking to change this position. They're not liking what they saw in that compound. They're just going to bug out.
Now, smart move for them. I don't know what they saw, but whatever it was enough to tell them that this isn't the engagement that they need to take. Perhaps the compound isn't favorable for them, but over here it's going to be Hot Jukes from Team Error spraying down onto Shoguns, trying to find the connection, trying to push back any pressure he can so that he can try to save Luis, but it's going to be a dangerous proposition. Hot Jukes, no helmet on his head. One nicely placed shot from an assault rifle or hell, any gun will be taking him down.
And Lost is finding Misfits right now because Tempo, they left Revenants, but they went straight into Misfits. This Dex is still going to hold this high ground with Shoguns. But over to the west, we've got an engagement popping off out of the frying pan into the fryer. They're just going to try and get themselves some semblance of control. Tempo did have it, but Perksat's going to be knocked as well by Chico. It's not looking good for Misfits as they're just cowering behind this small wall. And here comes the grenade spam from Tempo as they throw it over Potentially looking to find something with that added utility that they have. A couple of smoke grenades, probably grenades in general, just on the side of Spec. He uses the cover to press around. Lost. Running decoy forward and drawing a lot of fire, but he's going to stay up and get behind that vehicle. Now from this angle, he finds Percocet. Going to knock him down again. The Misfits having to play around this smoke, get into cover to try and bug out of this entire location because Tempo, they're not losing momentum at all. They're going to keep pressing onto this one until they find more.
And at this stage, I feel bad for Percocet on Misfits. He gets knocked repeatedly, at least in game number 1. We saw him knocked 4 times on that cave hill. Now he's going to be flushed out of the game. Tempo Storm disengaging off of that Revenant's compound and finding our first place team. But they're doing pretty well, all things considered. A 4v3 scenario as they continue on. And Misfits does not seem like they're liking this engagement. They know that they're being pushed up upon by a strong team. Spec, he's still alive. A change from game number 1.
Pyro is very isolated. He's playing around the cover. The rest of the Tempo is stacking up on this corner, trying to stay together and watch as many angles as possible. Grenade came in. No one going to be caught off guard by that one. Shots from behind on Spec. Going to get donked down. Pyro being the one to find the sightlines. He's just carrying behind that vehicle. He's waiting for them the entire time. Nico turns it around onto Acer as Unevens looking to chase up and get to his teammate. Hold the angle. Provide covering fire to get his down comrade. You want to get Acer back in the game. Tempo looking to do something similar as Pyro still taking it to Lost. He's just going to be dropped down as well. Now he's looking to find Nico. He's holding the corner, but unfortunately just going to get tagged, popping out a little bit too much from the cover.
So Acer was rezzed. It's now a 2v2 scenario between Tempo Storm and the Misfits. Spec is still going to be bleeding out, but here it comes Uneven. Going to be dropped almost immediately by the hands of Chica and is able to find the flush as well. One more member of Misfits going to be alive, and it's none other than Acer, the champion of this team, at least so far in the tournament. What are they going to be able to pull out here? They've got the AKM, they've got the Micro Uzi, but will they be able to find the connections? And then after that, the resets to take down the numbers.
One of our players to watch of this map in particular as well. Going to throw the Molotov off, force the hands of Acer, but he's still in cover, able to play around. He's looking for the rotation to come up behind Nico. There's Chica, shots through the window. Acer going to go down, and Tempo remove Misfits from Vikendi.
And I think maybe we can talk about this. I mean, Misfits, they are owed, or at least have earned themselves, one bogey game. They can go out early and still be sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboards, most likely. But we continue on. We've got 13 teams still remaining, 43 players alive, and phase number 4 is in full effect. And down to the south we go off of our previous circle's central point. Revenants, they've got to make their way in from the north. They've got to get inside of the safe zone, but they're going to be dangerously nearby off to the west of Team Unnamed.
Looking how Tempo handled that compound engagement, it's looking really good for them. And I think Revenants are actually enjoying the fact that they didn't have Tempo crash into them in that previous engagement, instead opting to draw their attention over to Misfits instead. And I have to be concerned about that because they have to make a movement into the circle. They're going to pass past that supply crate, though, so there might be some juicy goods in there to take them on their way.
Certainly might be. Revenants now pushing up. They've got 2 Dacias now, 3 vehicles, 2 Dacias and a US to create a mobile fort should they need to as this game progresses. And we're approaching the mid-game. So with this high ground as well, they're going to be able to seek out a lot of information, possibly spotting out some teams already in those centralized locations of phase number 4. Peralta pushing up to the compound here in the north. Might be securing this for their own. They don't need to push much further than this, although it is going to be an edge play, so that has to play into their strategy. They have to be prepared for what could come.
Still keeping control of those vehicles as they move down into the compound. Vigilante with the long sight lines, just trying to find information. There he goes, spotted out Error, takes a shot, won't find anyone. Maybe alerts them of their position, but he's just trying to get the information. Takes a shot at Swift, going to land one. Won't find any more, but now he's going to force them into cover, stop that freedom of information, going over to Team Error, denying resources. Martin might finally have some attention after he's been living out here like some kind of hermit, unnamed. Moving over into his territory, might step on him and end up removing him from the map.
And here's the thing, there's a crate there as well, drawing attention for several teams riding the coastal line on the eastern side of phase number 4. Martin has been spotted, and the shots will start to erupt from the members of Unnamed as Martin tries to get in a prone position, hopeful that he can catch off one of these members off guard and take them down. The goal from here on out is for Martin to get a knock and secure the flushes and not go down in 13th position for shoot to win without any kills.
Firing off that grenade. They know exactly where Martin is, able to throw over there, but just not get the distance on it until that Molotov forces him further back, denying him any more information as he has to stand up now, removed from his prone position, just to try and get that third-person peek over onto Max, onto Raven, onto Bill, all the members of Unnamed. Now he's concerned about behind him. I think he knows that there's some teams hiding out in those shacks, but they're not aware of him. The only person he's having to deal with right now, the only team that takes him of interest, is Unnamed.
And really, he's not even having to deal with them. He just has to continue to hide behind this and make sure that he's utilizing that third-person peek so that no one pushes into him without him putting out that pressure, return fire. But here it is, Unnamed going to be pushing out, and Martin doing just that, trying to apply the pressure, but he's not blocking the lines of sight. Drop down to 10 HP. One more shot would do it, but just in the nick of time, he's able to wrap around the corner of that little cliffside and get to safety. Meds are coming out, but here comes Miski. A very aggressive push coming out, but it's going to be turned around as Martin finds the connection with the micro Uzi. Now a 1v3 trying to reset. He gets the reload, drop down to 30 HP. It's not going to be enough as Bill finds the ultimate squad wipe on to Shoot to Win.
It was a valiant effort coming out from Martin. The fact that he was able to even get one member of Unnamed was great. Just the split there, 3-1. Unable to deal with that solo operator. I'm surprised he didn't come around, try and play spoiler, secure the kill, because I think in his back of his mind, he knew there was no way he was going to win that 4v1 scenario.
Well, that's the thing. He needed to secure the kill, though. He went out with 0 points. He wasn't able to pick up anything else as our next shift comes out, almost a hard shift over towards the eastern side of Vikendi. Factory going to be out of play, but certainly some water going to be playing a pretty huge factor. The landmass that these remaining 11 teams have to play around is going to be drastically reduced from what they're used to playing at this stage of the game.
And Envious and Rush, they abused the fact of just playing passively and trying to play for placement, and now I think their hands are being forced as F6 just looming over them right now. I don't think they have spotted the exact position, but Tempo Lost going to knock himself with a grenade that was poorly mistimed as Handsome going to press forward towards the cliff edge. Try and see if he can spot out where Envious are. He's certainly hearing them. They're playing with one man down here. This 4v3 could work in favor of Envious should they try and contest them. Reckless is the one closest to that line of attrition. Lord Fudo finally going to remove Lost, and Tempo now going to be taking some knocks on their team.
That's the worst. I mean, when you accidentally knock yourself with a grenade and then there's an enemy squad there that can capitalize on your own mistake, like we just saw happen with Tempo Storm. Baba, though, from NAF6, continuing to try to spot out the members of Envious here on the hillside. F2 looks like he's going to be spotted out. The spray going to be collapsing on top of him, but they're able to find Reckless. 1 going down, 2 going down now for Envious as Knockhead is trying to stick the res. Kreecha has to do something, but he's too far down to the south to provide any, I guess, instant support to his teammates. Really just has to try to find some sort of pressure to throw out, but he's not doing anything just yet. Molotovs are prepped and ready, though, to provide some sort of zoning help for his other teammates.
He's throwing it into the sun, trying to find that Molotov up on the high ground and provide some cover for himself, but F6 know exactly what's going on here as Bill taking out Vigilante, Espinosa and the rest of Revenants dealing with Unnamed right now over into the north. Zeus is actually in the water for Wildcard over to the far east, trying to find a way to get back into the circle with relative safety. This Tempo coming crashing into the east. Look at his vehicle. Nico and the rest of the boys might be about to drop in for a party on F6 and Envious if they're not too careful. Handsome trying to take cover, but Espinosa turning it back onto Miski in that engagement up into the north. Molotov's being traded. Rush just carrying around in these rocks as F2 firing out a few grenades of his own, looking for some kills. Espinosa then knocking Bill from Unnamed as Tempo and the Storm just in general trying to get positioned in these rocks.
Yeah, keep in mind, Tempo Storm did lose a member already. Lost going to be out, so only working with 3 of their squad mates still alive. And this is not necessarily the engagement that they wanted to find almost immediately thereafter, but it's going to be Nico spotting out one of the members of NAF6. It's going to be the Groza spraying through 7.62 rounds, finding their connections as well as the knock, and now throwing grenades and Molotovs in whatever direction he can. And I'm interested to see, will Tempo Storm throw an errant grenade and maybe knock one of the members of Envious and immediately be alerted of the other enemy presence on these cliffs?
They know exactly where Envious are. Look at the grenade placement on the Molotovs. Nico now going to be dropped down by Handsome. They were so concerned about splitting their attention with this 2 engagement to not get third-partied. They now ended up losing a member or putting them on their back foot here. You saw they tried to spray down members of F6, but then also throw grenades down onto Envious as well. I think Tempo Storm had all the information. They're just unable to do anything with it.
NAF6 continuing to posture here on the cliffside, but here comes another squad. Version 2 White going to be collapsing on a far southern flank off to the west now where NAF6 is currently holding, but a 4th team enters the fray, and you have to worry about all teams trying to survive from this area of the map. It's going to be a meat grinder, and it's going to be most likely only one team that reigns supreme of this southern area of phase number 6.
F6 finally finishing off that engagement with the likes of Team Envious. Baba actually going to take some fire from Rush, trying to be the lone operator from Envious again. He's got a teammate he can res. Zeus is off there in the water still, just being alone there for Wildcard, the last remaining member, as Handsome will come in and take out Maluma from version 2 White. He's actually got 2 guys to kill down there, but he's just going to get the kill on Maluma. Not finishing him off, but where's the rest of version 2 White to try and help out their team?
Trent, who cares where the rest of version 2 White is, because another team is entering from the north. It's going to be Revenants pushing in a little bit close to where Tempo Storm is holding, and well, they are fully aware of where Revenants are. They're spotting out multiple other teams air off the distance, trying to hide between a lone Dacia and a rock. All of their squad behind that area. It's not enough square footage for them to safely find cover, but Tempo Storm continues to frag out, having to watch essentially a 360 area of flankage to protect their backs.
You can see the highest ground is purely operated by version 2 White. Bad player up there. He's got one more teammate on that low ground with F2. Hasn't gone around for the kill confirmed yet, but I'm not sure how we're going to see version 2 White get both members back on their feet. As you can see, Mega just trying to buy time in that down position. I think the bait is trying to come in from Handsome. You'll hear the drop. If bad player goes for it, he can just run around and try and go for the kill. It's not an ideal situation for version 2 White to be in. You got F2 all the way down there even further. If Handsome was to fail, he can call in the reinforcements from his comrade. That might also alert Envious, who is still in this area. One of them could just set off a powder keg of explosives as S2 just trying to fire some Hail Mary grenades over in Envious's general vicinity.
You would hope that one of the teams down here, one of the 4 teams in the southern position, would take the initiative and try to clear out every enemy from this location, but all of the teams have lost so much in the process of this 4-way engagement that no one is comfortable with 2 or 1 members pushing out, trying to champion, but Grenade's going to be dropped down. Chica throwing out the smokes, just trying to block the lines of sight from Envious down below, and that's a smart play. A strategical play coming out from Tempo Storm.
As Swift from the side of Team Error, taking on some engagements long distance, managed to get a knock. Not got the kill confirmed just yet. Spec, keep an eyes open over in that general vicinity where you can see Unnamed taking a lot of damage. Sprays out. Ace, JBP. Could be dropped down by Shoguns as the line of fire just layered down onto Team Error. Trying to deal damage, not finding many hits, and so he won't follow up with the subsequent knocks.
And this is the thing, when teams are running through the wide open, you have to hit those shots. Not incredibly easy shots to make, but you have to find them one way or another as Tempo Storm is facing off against some damage. They've got to get those meds off. Spec just trying to do whatever he can to provide cover for Chica, the only other player on their feet right now for Tempo Storm. But now in AF6, they're going to be pushing around. They don't want Envious any longer on this cliffside. Knockhead going to be going down first. Will they be able to find Rush? Unnamed is hiding along the cliffside as well. You got Wildcard off in the water, but there it is. In AF6, F2 with the squad wipe onto Team Envious.
I don't think he's noticed that Zeus is off to the easternmost side. If Zeus gets onto land and starts opening fire, it could be wrong for him. Bill, like we've already mentioned, holding that position, and you can see Ravens keeping an eye out on the water. Just the edge being played there by Zeus. He's going to sit out there in the water as long as he can, try and pay for placement. But you got Handsome and F2 in a good position. You got Bad Player as a solo operator to the south. Unnamed Miski dropping down low, and now he's going to get knocked by Handsome. He walks straight into the firing line. Tempo still holding this highest position and letting players pivot around them and hoping that they'll be able to take and maintain the control as F2 will finally get knocked down as Unnamed press forward. Raven did get dropped to his knees, but Bill is there to clear them off. Handsome and Bad Player staring at each other, knowing that they're solo players in this instance.
6 teams remaining, 11 players alive, less than a 2-player per team average for these squads working with these numbers as NAF6's Handsome finds another kill onto Revenants right there. Rather, version 2 White, Bad Player, going to be dropped down. 5 teams now remaining, everyone trying to posture for this high ground, but it's going to be Tempo Storm as well as NAF6 that is currently safe. Wildcards player Zeus has to swim in. He's got to make landfall, but will he be spotted out as Polar Ace is trying to recover off of this before they make the push from northwest down to the south?
So here's the thing, right? Ace, they do have the most amount of players. They've got 4 members alive still in this squad, but it's Tempo who have the positional advantage, and you've got solo operators dotted around at every point of the axis. This is not looking good if you're trying to maintain control, because you never know who's going to open on fire from you, from which direction at this point, if you're maintaining the center like Tempo are.
Zeus has made landfall. No one saw him in the water, so sure enough, probably no one is expecting him to now be on that coastal line as the smokes start to approach Tempo Storm's position. Molotov's going to be coming out as well as Polar Ace starts to utilize this numbers advantage that they have here in the final moments of game number 2 on Vikendi. Phase number 8 in full effect, and will team number 11. It's going to be Revenants have to push down. It's a solo player, so he's trying to do it as slow as possible, but as the blue zone approaches, especially in phase number 8, it is going to be a circle of death chunking away at your health.
Look how close Shakes is playing to that smoke and to the team of Tempo. Pro DJ going for the crawl, as will Dilly as well. They're trying to make sure they have as many angles as possible. Keep looking at the sight lines as Spec Not got much to look through here as the cover will start to wade away. Refreshed immediately by a smoke. Chico presses forward, finds Dilly. So already they're missing one member. Opening up onto Shakes, trying to find him as well. This 2v4 engagement, they're going for it. Tempo, they want to try and get away with it as JVP going to find the knock onto Chico. But they have to worry now about where Spec is. He comes from the side, trying to get a spray down. JVP turns around and is able to shut down the reign of terror of Tempo and try and get themselves in a better position. But I believe that was 2 kills confirmed now, so now I have to deal with the third parties coming in. Shakes will be confirmed. JBP going down. It's just 3 solo players remaining, and Handsome has the high ground, takes out Zeus. Now he just needs to find Espinoza, who's been relatively quiet from the rest of the engagement. He holds the high ground. He's in the prone position. May go for the peek over this one, but he has to play this so slowly.
Espinoza now starting to at least crawl up. He's getting the boost going because he knows it's going to be impactful in this final 1v1 scenario. Make no mistake about it, everyone out there watching this, they know that they are stuck in a 1v1. It's going to come down to pure skill and positioning as to who walks away with the W. And will NAF6's Handsome is smack dab in the middle. He's going to have no pressure on his back. It's going to be Revenants that has to push up. And with this third-person perspective, Handsome just has to lie and wait. He's going to be seeing the push now coming out from Espinoza, but he's waiting. He's going to be spraying him down, and he's going to be finding the final game-winning kill with the Micro Uzi. NAF6 reigning supreme with a 15-kill finish.
And Handsome accounting for over half of those kills, just holding that position. He did such great work by himself, just biding his time while all these other teams took engagements, but he wasn't shying away from the combat. He was getting down and dirty with it, racking up even more points for his team. And Revenants also, solo operators, wildcard, solo operator. That Ace tempo engagement just went disastrously for both of them. Ace couldn't find a conclusive fight, so they ended up losing too many members to deal with the solos that were still in the area. And ultimately, the strongest teams in the best position were the ones who ended up falling out of these final 5.
Unfortunately, that terrain that the final battles of game number 2 took place on didn't really favor a 4-man squad. It left a lot for these solo players to really take advantage of, and boy, did they do it. Revenants over here, as well as Zeus from Wildcard, like you mentioned. Trid, Polar Ace, I feel like they just kind of dropped the ball, and it's unfortunate that that happened, but hey, 4th place as well as 6 kills, that's going to be a good performance for them, at least what they need to do to try to rank in to those top 24 positions.
What a fantastic game for North America. F6 securing themselves a 1st place finish. But we're only halfway through the night, so we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you a double serving of Erangel.
Welcome back, everyone, to day number 3 of the PUBG Mobile Club Open for North America as we just passed that halfway point of the final day of week number 1. Well, Vikendi and Sanhok are in the books, and we switch over, Trid, to our 2 Erangel matches.
Yeah, and coming into this one, let's have a look at the standings, see how today's action has kicked off, because not all teams are playing, so bear that in mind. You're going to see the number of matches played vary as we go up our leaderboard between 6 and 4. Of course, we can take that into account when we look at the relative positionings of these teams. Some climbers are coming in there. Envious been able to get some more points on the board, as have Polar Ace Esports. They've definitely climbed up from the danger zone they were in earlier on today. For them now, it's all about building up that lead before the next race kind of kicks in, where we will then see groups B and D face off against each other on Friday. Now we jump into the top half of our leaderboard.
Exactly right. You can start to see the points getting fairly close between a few of these teams, but also some separation starting to at least form from this top half as we compare it to the bottom half. A few teams in lobbies A and C not really having the performances that they were looking for so far, Trid, in day number 3. But as we transition over to our top 8 teams of the 32 teams competing here for North America, well, Misfits, they still reign supreme at the top of the leaderboards with 167 earned points.
So if you look at the split of teams that have 6 matches played in this instance, 4 of them are from Group A and 4 of them are from Group C and 2 of them are from Group A. Obviously being led by Misfits Gaming in that first place spot, but Tempo Storm, Shoot to Win, Revenants, and Version 2 White all repping Group C up here with over 100 points, and that seems to be like the next milestone for a lot of these teams.
And if you all at home watching this tournament didn't catch the first 2 days of the North American PUBG Mobile Club Open, or maybe you want to go back and watch more closely as to how those games turned out, head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com. We've got the VODs of all the games, we've got the scoreboards, as well as information as to how the tournament will be progressing, not just here in Season 1, but also in Season 2 later on in the year.
And also on that website, it's very useful. You can go ahead and check the standings. They're updated live after every match, so you're going to be able to find all that information as well if you're curious. And of course, you can subscribe to the PUBG Mobile Esports YouTube channel, and that'll give you a more direct access to all of the footage, not only in North America, but all the regions that are going on simultaneously.
But Trid, let's talk about now these 2 teams that are the kill leaders on the Erangel matches, the bulk of this tournament in terms of map that we are going to be playing off against. Unnamed on your left-hand side, and then Tempo Storm on the right. Both having pretty good performances in the top half of the leaderboards, but massive kill counts. 35 for Unnamed, 39 for Tempo Storm.
If we're looking specifically at Erangel, their best performances have come with 22 kills for Tempo Storm, 16 for the Unnamed. And bear in mind, these kills they racked up total, they're not accounting for Erangel because we haven't seen it today. It's counting from all 6 maps that they've played so far. So the good ratio is turning up on one of the most recurring maps we're going to find out here in the tournament.
Exactly. Tempo Storm's spec yesterday on Erangel had an insane game, a record-breaking game in terms of kill count, putting up a massive double-digit record for him and his squad. But enough of that. Let's get off of the stats and into game number 3 here on Erangel as our plane shoots out of that far southeastern corner of the map all the way over to the north near that beautiful town of Severny.
Just going to be heading up to the north, and it's over to the eastern side, heading over to the northwest, and want to make sure that they're going to be able to get a good flight path on this one and be able to distribute themselves over to a better and more advantageous position.
Exactly right. We are starting to see some teams drop in that no-vote area. They're trying to figure out at least what the deadly parts of the map are going to be as these players jump out of the cargo hold. But as we are past that halfway point of day number 3, it's all on the line. If you didn't have that performance in games 1 and 2 that you were looking for, well, you certainly got to kick it into gear here on Erangel.
This flight path going to take you over School, Roshawk, and heading up to Severny as well. It does open up the northwest portion of the map, which we don't see a lot of teams going into Erangel, just because of where the first circle has always been placed over to the east and more around to the south, and it misses off that northwest corner of the island that we see some teams rotate round to afterwards.
Areas that have been kind of hot on our Erangel matches so far on the weekend: Milta, as well as South Georgia Pole, as well as Pachinki. Keep an eye on those areas. We might see a few teams visiting there and finding themselves among amongst some conflict, as I'm already starting to see a few teams head that direction. Looks like Shogun's going towards Pachinki as well as Unnamed. Well, we might see a fight as our first circle pops. Phase number 1 going to be a very good circle for these teams to work with. Pretty centralized, so nothing too strange.
You don't want to be hot dropping on one of our kill leaders, the Squire. It definitely shows that they're open to frags and they know how to use their firearms. So hopefully you get that better loot and give yourself a slight edge. Raven only got a pistol. There we go. Picked up that AKM, and he's got some more weapons in the bag now, as well as that frying pan. So he's going to be switching it up a little bit more, but still, they've split Pachinki halfway. And this is the same engagement we see every time. Every Pachinki drop has resulted in a split in the middle. It's Unnamed taking one half, Shogun's taking the other, and both times in the past, Unnamed have walked away the victors.
I mean, Trid, I'm going to have to say, though, that I think that Unnamed has the dominant hold on Pachinki here. They've essentially forced Shoguns all the way in that maybe far quarter of the map, and they're not going to be able to get a lot of loot in that process. That whole northwestern side of Pachinki going to be untapped and essentially open for Unnamed to loot through, but they're going to be holding down the members of Shogun. Yoda going to be spotted out, dropped down to about 20% HP, and likely doesn't have any meds. Sure enough, he does not have any meds, doesn't even have a helmet to his name, forced to just hide behind this wall and hope that his teammates can put out some pressure so he can disengage.
There's an engagement happening in Yasnaya as well. Espinosa's already got the knock onto Killer. As they just look at the separation happening here altogether. You got 4 Hokage there over to the east as well. But it's more about what Revenant and Team Anarchy are doing, and they're just being boxed in. Look at this. They've got an X and Y axis to fire onto Team Anarchy should they emerge from any of these buildings.
Yasnaya has been a topic of discussion for us, at least so far in this tournament. We've only seen 2 teams max land here or enter in here in these Erangel matches, but once you throw a third team into this Yasnaya mix, it becomes very limited on the play area that you can loot up and feel safe within. And, well, Anarchy, they are caught in between a pinch. 4 Hokage on the east and then Revenants on the west. And if you try to loot up, if you just try to spread out a little bit too far, you're going to be caught in a very disadvantageous position, as number 9 has already figured that out. Team Anarchy's player dropped down to about 1% HP. Thankfully, though, he did have the meds to start recovering them, but he's expending all of those bandages right now, just trying to get back up to whatever HP he can.
Well, not thankfully, though. Killer has been removed from Team Anarchy early on as well, so they're playing with 3 members right off the bat. He was the first casualty of Erangel. As we see the rest of Revenants just continuing their loot spree through this portion of Yasnaya. The standoff in Pachinki is still exactly the same. They've not made much movement to separate outside of that hotly contested area between these 2 teams. So that engagement could light up if Shoguns start getting some confidence in their firing skills to deal with Unnamed's hold over the city.
And this is sort of the thing that we can also talk about. I mean, these teams from these lobbies, A and C, have not clashed yet. They have the benefit of watching the VODs over the course of the last 2 days to see where these drops are going to be favoring for some squads, and, well, a lot of conflict happening. So is this sort of a dominant move by some of these teams, or is it a lack of preparation? We'll have to continue to watch how these matches on Erangel play out, but for right now, it's looking like it's going to be an incredibly chaotic and kill-filled early game.
And Shoguns have taken the L on this one. They're going to be leaving Pachinki, and they should know by now. They are sharing this group with Unnamed, so it doesn't matter what map or what version or what day they're going to drop down on Erangel. They're going to have to deal with Unnamed at Pachinki. And I have a feeling that Shoguns are going to have to potentially not rely on a plan B, but start making that plan A, because they're not going to be able to remove Unnamed from Pachinki.
A lot of teams take a lot of pride in their drop locations, but sometimes you just have to let it go in these tournaments. There is a lot more, at least at hand, a lot more at risk here for these teams in a $2.5 billion tournament where they're just in the group stages, the early stages of this tournament. A lot can be lost for a team with a slight misplay on one of the few maps that they end up playing. 12 games is all these teams are going to be playing. And, well, that's not a lot of room for mistakes.
Especially on Erangel, 6 of your maps, 6 of those 12 are played on this map alone, so you have to get this one right. Misfits going mobile. We got an Uaz going across the military island, and they've been relatively uncontested on that one. You can see that you've got Totality off into the east, but now they're rotating off the island to match the Phase 1 circle, get across the bridge, and start getting onto mainland.
Exactly, in that southwestern area might get a little bit congested. The northwestern area is certainly already looking that way, as 2 teams will have to head out of that North Georgia Pole and Zarki area. But Misfits, you said it, Trid. Mobile Misfits, maybe? Misfits Magic? A lot of different names that we can call them, and none of them bad, because, hell, their performance has been absolutely stellar so far in this tournament as they continue on in this Misfits caravan.
Still clutching on to that first day lead that they had, and they're not going to be losing it anytime soon by the looks of things as they start going very central with this one. They are going to run past Shoguns. I believe they're on their current trajectory, and if they go even further north into Pachinki, they might run into Unnamed, but I think they know better than that to contest into a hot drop city like that. So it's going to be Shoguns right here on the S, lighting them up already. Immediately makes that 90-degree pivot, wants to get into the cover behind these hills and tell the rest of his team that this is not the safe option.
Well, if Misfits take this hill, though, this is the counter position for the compound that Shoguns are currently holding in. Might they have bitten off a little bit more than they could chew if they end up drawing the full force of Misfits, who are still trying to position on top of the hill right now? Dex looting up inside of this compound, trying to get whatever he can for possible impending engagement that might be setting itself up. Misfits have at least stalled up on that hill. Doesn't look like they're going to be continuing on much further, but Shogun decides to get out of dodge as well.
As Pyro going to be taking Misfits over towards Acer, who's just going for an early scout as they've gone past Tempo now, starting entering their territory south of school. Need to be very conscious of where they're going with this one, as Shogun's going even further south. They're sending Dax out there for a scout as well, moving away from the center, even closer to the edge. We talked about that northwest section of the map, Esquire. They're going to go through Georgiapol right now with Shoot to Win, contesting with version 2 Black. It's not looking too good for them if they're able to push through in a rush, because that circle is getting closer to trigger in the next phase of play.
Yeah, Shoot to Win, one of our top teams, at least on the top half of the leaderboards, haven't had a great day so far, sort of a middle of the pack day, and while we're sort of seeing them hang back a little bit, they're not forcing these early rotations, might see them wait for those extended rotations, opting for a little bit of blue damage before they make their entry, but they're already going to start to pile into cars, 2 players in each vehicle. This is what you like to see. We've seen a lot of teams packing all 4 into the squads, but now we are already starting to see the kill feed erupt. It's going to be Totality under siege by the members of version 2 White. Maluma going to be pushing up. He's already got a knock on a Richie, but what will he be able to find on top of Dodger or Lord Fudo? The nades are reigning supreme as Mega 19 pushes up behind his teammate. They've got the UAZ in their sights. They're trying to explode it, and all of the members of Totality are stuck as Dodger's going to be knocked down by a nice grenade.
I believe that's 2 knocks on the side of Totality. They need to start recovering this one because the push is going to come in from version 2 White. He's going to drop down Maluma as they continue to get into cover. Try and fight against this one as he jumps into that smoke. Needs to heal up. I don't know if he can take this engagement.
Richie was res, but they got to get Dodger up as well. Trig's going to be back behind the tree trying to do just that as the members from version 2 White try to reset as well, but the action continues to pop off. 3 seconds left on the res before he can get Maluma back up, but the shots continue to reign supreme and the damage comes out. Another knock on to version 2 White, and that's going to be a flush as well as Mega 19 is dropped out of the game.
The grenade! It's going to force the movement. I don't think he's going to get the kill there. The explosion goes off as Lord Fudo's down. Dodger going to be joining him on his knees. But he got 1 player off to the side. It's Triggs just in that back line, and all those down players, the kill confirms can come in as was going to be dropped down. Triggs presses forward to try and regroup with his team, but look at this crossfire coming in. I don't know how he can move with this one. Bad player repositions, gets into cover. Maluma holding off to the side. This bad player wants to get a better angle, moves around behind the UAZ. Maluma gets the 2 kill confirmed. He's going to hit him from the side. Bad player going to miss out on that one until he hits the shot. And there we go, version 2 White suffering 1 confirmed casualty, but they can get Was back in the game.
And Totality goes out in 16th position here in game number 3 of day 3 of the North American PUBG Mobile Club Open. A huge play coming out from version 2 White, able to continue on with 3 players alive. So all things considered, a 4-for-1 trade is not too bad.
And somehow Shoot to Win have avoided version 2 Black in that North Georgiapol area. They've got a little bit closer to shooting range, but they're starting to head into the circle now. Version 2 Black heading on probably that southern path as well. So they will avoid each other, I believe, and maybe they might meet up just at the fork northwest of Rozhok, but it's looking good to them to avoid the engagement. Now, if you look at the other side of the map, however, Revenants and Team Anarchy with that Yasnaya split may catch each other out as they try to move into that circle over to the western half of that city.
Some teams might find favor in opting towards that northern side of phase number 1, then part north of where the channel leading out of Yasnaya sort of splits off, but then you have to worry about that rotation down south as Revenants start to at least employ their own rotation, getting everyone stacked into this Dacia. They're going to go for that risky, all 4 in the same vehicle where a nicely placed spray by an enemy opponent could wipe out multiple of their squad.
Team Anarchy, Micro TT taking their own path south of Yasnaya when
Well, we're going to see the Revenants going over to the west, holding that northern half of the Phase 1 circle. You can see Shoot to Win are already set up in the northern part, just over the other side of the river from Rozhok. That's probably not how Revenants want to be driving the Dacia. Nearly got themselves flipped over there, but they've got back control. Going to play around the terrain and head more onto the path now instead of going for this off-road route.
Everyone just trying to vie for that centralized position. We already are starting to see some teams very safe or comfortable in their own centralized position, but Revenants have to do something. They're going to be one of the latest teams to make that rotation as Wildcard sets up dead center just south of the school and apartments area. It's going to be Zeus, DP28, prepped and ready to spray down on any enemy opponent he spots out in school, but it just so happens that we have the benefit of seeing if there are, and sure enough, there are not.
Wildcard holding on to that position. A lot of teams have a lot of space to work with still. Only one squad down as the circle is about to hopefully trigger the next phase relatively soon. It's still progressing towards that. Percasas, we're on board with him right now. Eyeing up down that mountain. No one anywhere near them to contest. They've got to be looking down in this direction, over to the north. They might be able to spot out a member of Wildcard if they're careful. Dex tanking the blue as he's trying to get in here. He was going very far south to find some additional loot, but he will regroup with the rest of Shoguns who haven't really progressed further inland yet.
And they're going to be pretty safe here. No other team really contesting this far southern area of phase number 1, but that's all soon about to change as phase number 2 pops, and it's going to be taking us up to the northern part of our first circle here in game number 3. The channel, the river spreading out of Yasnaya, going to be effectively splitting this zone in half, about a 40-60 split in favor of the southern side. Expect Rozhok to get incredibly crowded here in just a few moments.
The teams are going very early for this one. They know exactly what you're talking about there, Phil. It's going to be getting into Rozhok as quickly as they can and potentially get themselves a building to deal with any aggressors. But Hashirama taking a few shots before Hokage. They're looking towards a version 2 white. Try and deal with them. Dax is actually meted back up, and he's going back into the blue. I think Shoguns are in a dire position when it comes to loot. They keep sending him out for excursions like this.
Yeah, something strange is certainly going on there. Not exactly sure. I wish we had the benefit of being able to interview these players. Certainly, Trid and I will be reaching out this week with some very important questions. One of them being, what is his strategy? Dex down there all the way down to the southwest, not even vying for centralized circle position, but Revenants, they're going to be spotting out that wild card in transition, and they are certainly putting out a lot of pressure. No shots connecting, so not really taking away at any meds or any type of utility, but they are sending Wildcard on a very chaotic rotation.
And all of these teams are sticking to this southern half of the divide in Rozhok. You see Shoot to Win move over as well from the northern half they were holding. So they were all populating in the city instead. As you can see on your screens, Team Era up by the Water Tower Hill. Want to try and get a high ground position to look over the rest of the teams transitioning into the point. Polar Ace Esports, they're going actually all the way up to Yasnaya to go into that northern half of the Rozhok divide and hopefully banking on that one.
I mean, Tred, there are a few different scenarios that could play out here. We could see the circle continue to shrink with the river splitting the circle in half as we continue through the mid to late game, or we could see a polar shift to the far north and implicate that area or back down to the south. If it shifts up to the north, team number 16, it's going to be Shoot to Win at the farthest peak of Rozhok, is in the best position to immediately cross that river and get to safety without taking too many shots.
It wasn't actually just Dex going out into the blue. Rice also went out there with him as well. They picked up an additional vehicle on the way back. So they're going to be able to provide some extra support for Filthy and Yoda to get into the zone. Look at Hotchuk, he's got a nice angle on Zeus. Fires the shot, won't connect it. He thinks he saw a little glimmer as he goes for the peek around the door frame. Yet again, get that knock down. So he's able to find a way to get Wildcard. Ranger pops open the door, but then goes into cover to get his comrade up. A lot of pressure being applied by Hotchukes from this high ground position.
5 teams starting to encroach on this Rozhok area. Wildcard going to be pinned down on the far northeastern side of the town as Roz Hill, that water tower hill, is completely occupied by Hotchukes and the rest of Air, and they've got incredible lines of sight onto Wildcard, especially with that M24 bolt-action sniper rifle. If Hotchukes finds one head, well, all it is going to be is tap, and out Wildcard goes.
Wildcards know that exactly. They're playing so passively right now. They've got plenty of time with the circle, and it's just going to collide, show us the next phase, and it gets more condensed on the Rozhok, leaning more over to that eastern side. There's still some territory above that dividing river that can be played around. Team Anarchy and Polar Ace Esports are in a position to capitalize on that without having to travel across that river.
And this is Team Anarchy and Polar Ace Esports essentially putting all of their eggs into one basket. If they have to cross down to the south, well, there is going to be the majority of the lobby of these 15 teams looking exactly at their position as Yoda tries to combat the blue zone. He has no first aid strid, only bandages to his name, and that blue zone is ticking away. What happened to Shoguns here in this match? You have to think that something drastically changed with their strategy, because we saw some very unconventional play coming out from this team.
I have no idea how to describe what just happened with Shoguns. You've only got one member in a position where he is relatively safety. It's, I believe it's Dax and a couple of others, but look at this engagement on the screen. Tempo just lighting up this building with grenades as Shoot to Win also taking engagement against F6, but they're rushing into the compound now, want to head up the stairs and capitalize on these kills. They just got the knocks on. Moving through, want to find a clearance, just going to get that flush onto one of the members as they press out onto the rooftop, trying to spray and find the rest of them. They didn't clear the rest of the building. Actually, Spec getting knocked down, but as he enters back into the building, clearance from Chica will seal the deal. So Spec being their only casualty, but they did a good job of deterring the aggression from other teams.
Very confident push coming out from Tempo Storm, and no surprise, they are one of the top teams as it comes to Erangel gameplay. So they continue on here, able to pick up 2 kills for their team so far. That's not a bad kill count, considering that we still have 14 teams and 50 players still remaining. But Phase 4 is certainly going to be implicated here as the blue zone starts to shrink. The circle is currently 30-70 in favor of the southern side, and we have 3 teams now on the north as the shots from Wildcard will be coming out, trying to find their mark wherever they can. But they have Tempo Storm now pushing up aggressively, but that's going to be Ranger spotting out one of the members of Tempo. Lost goes down immediately.
Downed, but not been flushed just yet. Nico returning a fire onto Rain on the high ground. Able to get a few little pop shots off. Keeping an angle. Now he turns his attention to Wildcard after he relieved some pressure from the high ground. Not going to find any shots, just swapping around for his weapons. Now he's going to start dropping smokes because Tempo need to find a way to get back to safety, cut off some sight lines, and guarantee their position.
That's going to be utilized by Tempo as we pop over to Shoot to Win. Ulysses 24 trying to spray down on some of the members of NAF6 on the rotation. Looks like Hanson was stalled out a bit in that buggy. Might have been a tire pop, but he is going to be connected upon with a beautiful Car 98 headshot in that vehicle. Out he goes, and Shoot to Win picks up their 3rd kill to win. Mark that their 4th kill as Lopez is under fire. It's going to be none other than Shoguns pushing up. Can they get even more vehicular kills? And sure enough, they're going to be putting out the damage, forcing Shogun to crash onto the riverbank.
I just imagine Shoguns yelling yeehaw as they just drive straight past that team with reckless abandon even. I don't know what they're doing in this game, but they're getting themselves as central as possible. I think they're just going to play in the water and try and go for placement on this one.
All things considered, this isn't a terrible position to play. They're likely going to get out of the water and onto the cliffside, maybe under the bridge, and they're going to have the benefit of that fast rotation should the circle favor the northern side. But we will see that shortly as the blue zone finishes up the shrink here in phase number 4. 13 teams remaining, 48 players alive, and everyone is just trying to posture for the immediate rotation. They're going to have to make a deadly circle that these teams are going to have to work with here in phase number 5 as it hard shifts over to the northeastern side. The river still implicated. It goes back to a 50-50 split between the north and the south, and it's dire. Where are you going to place your bet? Where is that risk going to come into effect, and which teams are going to be absolutely decimated by their decisions?
Nevius is going to move into the circle. Tempo Chica taking a few shots onto Hot Jukes, who are still occupying the high ground, but they're playing on the edge of the circle, so they've got relative safety for now. But the likes of Unnamed and Error, Version 2 Black, Shoot to Win, even Shoguns to a degree need to find a way into this circle as Chica still going to take those shots against them, but they're caught in between 2 teams right now. Tempo needs to be very careful about how they maneuver when it comes time for them to make a rotation.
Tempo on an edge position right now. Not the most favorable position given the river coming out of Yasnaya, but Misfits are taking casualties to the hands of Revenants right now. 2 members knocked down and bleeding out as Vigilante going to be traded back on. Uneven goes down as well, but Revenants are trying to res, trying to recover for this, because in this stage of the game, given the landscape, they are going to need all members alive that they can get. It's going to be a bloodbath, and well, who is going to be able to work their way out of this meat grinder that this game is about to become? Here it is. Acer, the top player, at least so far by performance on this Misfit squad, is trying to salvage this game for his team.
He's hiding out in the smoke for now, wants to buy some more time. Look at the position being taken just to the east of him by that bridge. There's a lot of bodies that he may have to run into should he try and find a way to get back into this game. He's just playing around the edge of the circle, using these rocks for cover for now. This is exactly what these teams that are occupying the same space are looking forward to. He moves her in. Look at this. Shoot to Win. Inside the building. Got themselves one of the only buildings really available in this compound. And you look further to the southeast, you're going to see a couple more over there as well.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 teams now inhabiting the southern side of Razak, or at least this play area. Shoot to win now pushing out, and we have a whole squad.
It's a kill box.
It is a literal kill box. One grenade could wipe out that entire team, but one enemy player that runs past them are going to be sprayed with a hail of gunfire as they're all looking very aggressively at us as viewers, as spectators of this esport. Wild card, though, they're going to be under fire. Hot Jukes as well from Team Error starting to spray down on to Shoot to Win. A nice shot connecting, but not doing the fatal damage that he was looking for on top of Lopez as he tries to get that first aid off. He's able to do so, but now has to try to reset off of this because look at the angles of approach that Error have. They've got the benefit of the high ground.
They've just got to push themselves further into that circle. They're just on the edge of it now, so relative safety. Tempo Chica with the grenades takes out Illusions. And Espinosa being cleared out there by Unnamed as well, so that engagement over to the southeast, paying dividends for one of these teams. Illusions still needs to be rezzed up. They've already lost Rain, so this could be dire for Wildcard if they lose another member, but they've got Illusions up into the high ground here, so they're able to go ahead and get the res off while Zeus plays protection on that door using the third-person perspective. Tempo rushing into the building, want to get into cover, grenades thrown at the door, 1 second off the res. So they get their teammate back in, but they need the meds to get him to full health if they want to fight off this Tempo assault.
Wildcard has been inside of this building for the better part of the last 6 or 7 minutes, and everyone knows that there is someone inside of there. They've taken casualties, they've been able to recover, but can they effectively hold off the push? Version 2 Black going to be finding some nice prey on to Shoot to Win here on the backside of the wall, and Shoot to Win is looking like they're in a dire position. They've got to cross out into the open to escape the blue zone on their back, and they're already prepping for this. They're throwing out as many smoke grenades as possible to block the lines of sight to secure the concealment for the incoming move.
Unnamed are able to take this long engagement with some of the members of Envious and keep this going. But Misfits turning it around onto Envious will get that kill confirmed. Tanker now dealing with Unnamed over to the east. We yet to see For Hokage, that team in that cubby hole of the bridge, make that rotation. Version 2 Black dealing with the assault. His Shoot to Win getting knocked down through the smoke. It's Tempo dealing the damage to them as they want to pop it out. Lopez doesn't have the HP to contest this, but he needs to run in with the rest of his team. Acer getting the knock onto Sin, throwing out more smoke as Illusions will take out Lewis from Team Error, and then gets that kill confirmed. The flush coming in for him as well. It's Lost answers it onto Micro TT from Team Anarchy. Misfits Acer being knocked by a headshot from Tsukasa. They managed to get themselves out of that cubby hole and start moving into the area. Lopez down on his knees. The grenade also giving the knock onto Ranger as Martin eyes up the thing transitioning across the bridge. Tempo Storm into the building. Illusions gets the knock onto Nico. Lost is here to try and clear them out on the high ground and get that resurrection off, but he needs to make sure the area is secure before he even attempts that bold move.
The engagement is going the way of Tempo Storm as they wipe out Wildcard, but now Shoot to Win has to deal with another team. It's gonna be Version 2 Black inside of this building. Grenades are prepped by Martin flying inside of that bathroom. Not gonna be able to find their connection as that player from Version 2 Black continues to rotate through the building. A little bit of damage actually finding its mark, but not the fatal damage. Back inside of the window as he takes gunshots, but over here For Hokage has moved outside of the bridge. They're going to be spotting so many teams hopping inside of the river, trying to get to safety whatever they can. And Polar Ace Esports, they might be in the water, but they are not safe whatever.
And Sprat just going to be finished off in that building. That's all she wrote for Version 2 Black on this map as Shoot to Win take control of this building. Creature getting a couple kills into Hashirama. Will knock him down. And Tempo have control of this building right by the edge of the water. You see a lot of dolphins in there. Team Anarchy, Polar Ace, some members of Shoguns having a swim, but JPB goes on to landfall and just immediately going to be answered from Tsukasa. Look at 9 in there, incredibly low health. He can't med up while he's in that position. The rest of For Hokage just holding down this river. Both banks being covered by them as Tobirama having some potential turn onto him. He needs to deal with Creature. Easily done there as he just takes cover again. Moves into the smoke to revive his fallen comrade while Sin finds 2. It's members from Team Error taking that engagement against Unnamed, and I don't think there's any more of them left. That's going to be them removed from the map.
Absolutely. 6 teams remaining, 15 players rather alive as Tsukasa pushes up, continuing to rain down bullets on to the fish in a barrel, essentially, trying to swim inside of this river, trying to stay alive as long as possible, going for placements, but Tsukasa finds the M416 connection on to Team Anarchy's player number 9, and out goes Team Anarchy in 6th place position. But now Dex is under fire, and that's going to be another kill going the way of For Hokage. Their 8th kill so far of the game, leaving us with 4 teams remaining, and will Shoot to Win. They've got to do something here. They're not safe. They're deploying even more smokes. You have to wonder how much utility is left inside of their backpacks.
Tempo are in a prime position to take this game. They're holding control of the most pivotal building left in the area, and they're keeping an eye on all angles. You've got Unnamed off there with a 2-man squad. You've got the 3-man can of For Hokage, as Chica's going to rain down some fire, remove the utility from that UAS, as Shoot to Win also approaching from that westernmost side, but they are the most exposed out of the lot. As For Hokage trying to come up from the northeastern side, get towards that building, but like I said, Tempo have so much control over this next phase.
Well, Tempo just saw Spec get knocked to the hands of For Hokage, and this might open up an opportunity for one of these other teams riding the edge to push up and seek some sort of cover on the outside of the building that Tempo Storm secured off of Wildcard. Tsukasha pushing up, as well as Shoot to Win. Psycho just trying to get a sight. He's going to be spotting out the members of For Hokage, sees the feet of one of their players, and that is going to be a nice knock coming out for Psycho.
Nearly gets the cut on that femoral artery, but he's able to take cover beforehand and get himself, he made it up. Tobirama throwing the grenade in. Chica laying down some suppressive fire on the Shoot to Win, stop them from advancing, but they're going to play around that small little garage building. Psycho separated from the rest of the team in a 2-1 split. Keeping an eye on Tobirama, but the grenade gets the knock onto Spec again, making Tempo close ranks, but are unable to do anything about it. There's too many players in this game for them to still make an aggressive move.
Third knock on Spec so far this game. Is going to be bleeding out incredibly fast. The Molotov from Tobirama comes inside of the window, and it's going to be taking out Spec entirely and getting a knock onto Nico. 2 members left on their feet for Tempo Storm. Lost in Chica trying to quickly recover off of this before they get swarmed. This is going to be phase number 8. The landscape of the final moments of game number 3 has been set, and who is it going to be? 4 teams remaining. Shoot to Win, unnamed, For Hokage, as well as Tempo Storm inside of the building. But For Hokage, they're taking casualties. Sune going to be knocked down. Tsukasa behind the rock trying to stay alive in whatever way he can as Tobirama tries to put out the pressure on the Shoot to Win.
But they're so oblivious of the angle coming in from unnamed off to the south. If they press forward and try and meet up with the rest of the team, they could just fall into this firing line, and they have to take cover because Martin's opening up on the For Hokage. They're cowering behind this small rock. If they lay in the fire, get the kill confirmed onto Sune, and now he turns his attention to the building. Doesn't want to forget about Tempo, and they haven't done that as unnamed Sin gets the knock onto Lost. He's now carrying on his knees. Sin again, finding the knock onto Chica. They're going to storm this building and take it away before For Hokage and Shoot to Win can, as they're all aggressing towards this cover.
Chica trying to crawl inside of the bathroom of the second story of the building as Tobirama and For Hokage advance their own position. If Tempo Storm can recover off of this, they're going to be able to have, again, a dominant hold on this building. Chica is going to be res. Now Nico swapping over to Lost, trying to stay 3 up. This is going to be incredible if Tempo Storm fully recovers off of this and keeps 3 alive, because there are only 8 players remaining in the final moments of this game. Tobirama still holding strong. Shoot to Win somehow able to make it across those wide open areas of Razak, and now push up to the defilade just on the western side of this building.
Tempo able to exert pressure. They get further and further up that hill. They're going to return fire on the window, lay down that suppressive fire. They're just going to rotate into the smokers. Now For Hokage going to get both members up on the same playing field. 2 angles for Tempo to cover, and Shoot to Win and For Hokage aren't really dealing with each other. They're just conscious of where they are, but that smoke divides this line of sight. As Nico going to fire a grenade out the window, play around the blue. The exits are just becoming limited here. They're pressing into the buildings. Shoot to Win have got a man right outside that window. They're leaving one at the back as an insurance policy. Psycho sprays through the window. Won't find Tempo. They're playing around the cover.
Finds a lot of damage, but Chica going to be able to continue to spray through the smoke and apply the damage on the Shoot to Win outside of the backside of the building. Going to be able to find some nice damage, at least on the Psycho, but it's going to be Martin that knocks out For Hokage. They're starting to deal with every player left here in the game because it is a meat grinder. No one's going to be able to make it out if you're alive, essentially, as the final moments of this game start to collapse. Chica dropped down very low. Ulysses going to be knocked down as Chica sprays that AKM with nice shots out of the window.
And For Hokage, Tsukasa, last man standing for For Hokage. He's got Martin on the other side of the wall. Will get the spray down as well, securing that kill. It's Shoot to Win's game to take. They can just get control of this building. But Chica on the outside is going for the knock, but aggressive play from Nico. He takes the fight to them, and it's going to be the cleanup from Tempo Storm, taking away the first map win on Erangel.
Tempo Storm says, Will Trid, Esquire, you talked about it. Unnamed might have been the other team in the head-to-head for being a top competitor on Erangel, but we are going to shut that down and reign supreme. A nice 11-kill finish coming in for Spec, Nico, Chica, and Lost. But Shoot to Win, a stellar performance as well. Second place, Trid. They're going to be winding up with a 10-kill finish. So a lot of kills at least taking up, at least in our first and second place spots.
Even in the third place as well, Esquire. Look at that, 12 kills down for For Hokage.
Double digits.
Great performance. They're moving all the kills up to the top portion of our teams. We got one more map of Erangel still to come. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you the conclusion of Day 3's action.
Welcome back, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open for North America. We just wrapped up game number 3, about to transition over into game number 4. Again, if you have missed any of the action, though, so far this weekend, make sure to head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com, find the VODs, find the scores, as well as information on the tournament. If you also want to, you can go over to the YouTube channel where all of those VODs will be for the entirety of this PUBG Mobile Club Open. Subscribe over there to catch all of the action.
Don't forget to ring the bell as well. Get those notifications. Make sure you get all the action, because there's a lot of action to miss. We're not the only region in play right now, Esquire. We've got Europe, there's some Middle East, we've got some Asia as well, teams all over the world, even the wildcard region as well.
10 regions all over the world. 10
regions, each sending varying amounts of qualified players to those global finals for both spring and fall. So you don't want to be caught off guard by the level of competition. Let's get back into the night, though. Let's have a look at how our standings stand. If you look at matches played for, you can ignore those teams. They're from Group B and D, and they'll be playing on Friday to get their next rotation of games. But we're looking at Groups A and C today. So if you see 7 matches played, that's who we're going to be seeing for the rest of it. And for the most part, those teams with 7 matches are, as you'd expect, climbing up the leaderboards. We saw a few stragglers in the bottom 8, and that is our danger zone. If you're in there after 2 weeks of play, you will not make it to our semifinals.
Certainly not. And now we reach into our top half of the leaderboards. This is going to be placements 9 through 16 as it stands going in to game number 4 of day 3 of week 1. Are you scared in 9th position? Looking pretty good, but here it is. Top 8. Misfits still up on top with 172 points, but boy, oh boy, is Tempo Storm starting to close that gap, Trid, as well as shoot to win. And this is really a product of Misfits having a really rough last 2 games.
Not been keeping the same level of dominance they had kicking off the day, as well as their performance on their first game days, but they're still in the lead. Based off of that lead they had so far, 172 points, and they've got Tempo Storm nipping at their heels. We've got a lot more teams entering into that century mark now. In fact, the only team in the top 8 who hasn't is Nova, and that's because they're not able to play today. They're still at 97 points, so when it comes around to Friday's games, I expect those guys to climb up the rankings, potentially even dethrone Misfits, depending on how that final game goes for them.
Certainly, and I know we have a lot of Nova fans in chat, so they can expect to see that as well over the next few weeks. But let's take a look, Trid, at 2 of our teams who have had the worst performances so far on Erangel. These are going to be 2 teams that we are going to be looking at specifically in this match to see some greatness, because they are going to need to put something into action along those lines. Envious and NAF6.
Yeah, NAF6 and, yesterday, or their first attempt at Erangel, they went out 15th place and 16th place. So their average finish here, it's not looking too good. And then when it comes over to Envious, I mean, they got into the top 8, I suppose, when it came round to it. Based on how the rest of Group C did on Erangel, pretty shocking, as they, averaged out, going out about 12th place, which is not for keeping up with the rest of Group C.
Well, one more game to round out the first week of the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American region. Let's get those players into the plane and soar them across this Erangel map to round out the week. And here it is, that plane path already shooting out. It is going to be heading, it looks like, from north to south, once again, favored over towards the east-hand side of the map this time, Trid.
They're going to be getting themselves straight down the middle. Potentially some division here, but like you said, it's off to the east and just a fraction. Giving a lot of opportunity here for these teams to spread out as much as they can. Pachinki, I want to see if Shoguns are going to try and contest Unnamed again, because I feel like it's becoming a fool me once, fool me twice scenario here. This is going to be the 4th time they both drop on Pachinki, and it might be the 4th time that Unnamed sends them packing.
I mean, look, if you're a Shogun fan in the chat, you're going to be praying right now that your team does not go back there. There's a lot of open areas on the map that if they're watching these VODs and that quick little break between these games just to see where the drop patterns are, they can immediately make that switch. But I already see Shoguns popping out, and it looks like they're at least heading that direction. And with the parachuting, they're going to be able to see what other teams are coming there. And I don't see Unnamed pulling off of that city at all.
No, they're going to stay headstrong on this one, Esquire. Keep them going to Pachinki. Shoguns might be able to get some early loot from the half that Unnamed gifts them at this point, really. It's more of like a mercy to let them have anything. but they're going to be spreading out. I think actually Shogun's maybe going a little bit further than planned. They're heading further west than Pachinki in that northern area. Look at the circle, relatively central, but favoring that southwestern side ever so slightly.
Exactly. We saw a few shifts. It looks like we've got 3 teams, though, down there on Sosnovka Island for Hokage. Going to be the addition on top of Misfits as well as Totality, as we see Hashirama. He's in the C blocks, the barracks of Sosnovka proper, trying to loot up to his heart's content, but he is dangerously nearby to some of the members of Misfits.
Yeah, and Shoguns, they've got themselves that vehicle. They did not hot drop on Pachinki. They are giving it over to Unnamed this time around. So that's the adaptation we wanted to see from them. Go and get some loot earlier on and deal with some bigger fish. Misfits and 4 Hokage are sharing this military island. Like you said, Esquire, they're going to have a little bit of fun with it. And you got Totality off to the east as well. They're still going to be occupying the island, and they're going to have to find a way to get off of it eventually.
Shoguns picking up a nice knock and a flush with their vehicles. A little vehicular manslaughter coming out for these teams early on. But it's going to be Tsunade for Hokage. He is spotted out and connected upon right there by Misfits, trying to pick up their first kill of the game right now, but they're not able to secure the flush. 4 Hokage is only working with 3 members on their team, so they are in a dire position. Only 2 left up, but they're going to be spraying down on the Parkasas. He's going to be dropped down almost immediately, and now the trade comes back out as Tsunade gets flushed out of the game.
That's an unfortunate situation for 4 Hokage. It probably was a disconnect in the game, meaning they started off with 3 members instead of 4. Now Misfits are going to capitalize. He's staying on top of the corpse. He's only got a shoddy. The pump action to try and deal the damage. They're just trading places around this door. This is like a demented episode of Scooby-Doo. He's trying to get the kill, but the 180 pivot means Acer will secure the kill and send 4 Hokage to an early grave.
Early grave in 16th position. Not the performance that 4 Hokage wanted, especially having that personnel issue with their 4th player coming into this final game of week number 1. But Misfits, they're going to take it. They love what they see, and that's going to be 3 kills going over to their name. Again, Misfits, they had a tough last 2 games. They're looking to turn things around because teams are on their heels trying to climb the leaderboard, specifically Tempo Storm and Shoot to Win.
And they're going to be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Like you said, Esquire, they're getting some points, but also they now know that this compound's just uncontested. The military base is all theirs. Going to be able to soak up all of that loot. The Shogun's moving further west. Now, off into the southwest, we got Shoot to Win. They're just dealing with Primorsk. This is all theirs, uncontested. You've got Milta being occupied by Tempo Storm as well as Wildcard, who are in vehicles vacating the area. I think they had a few engagements with Tempo Storm because look at it. You've already got a couple of low members on there. I believe that is Lost, who's about 10% HP, and we've already lost ourselves Chica as well, so Tempo Storm not having the best of starts.
Yeah, some of our top teams finding themselves amidst some early game conflict, and that's not really the position that you want to find yourself in. And if you do, well, you don't want to lose too much in the process. As Spec and the rest of Tempo Storm try to figure out what their plan is going to be, especially trying to get lost some meds. The early game, this is why you're not seeing them recovering this HP as of yet. But pop it over here down to Primorsk. Like you said, this is Shoot to Win's destination, at least on these Erangel maps, and it's going to be wide open for them to loot through without having to worry about any enemy presence.
Easy goings for a high-performing team, if we're honest with you. They were in that very high position, I believe 2nd place or 3rd place currently as well, so they're going to be still riding quite high as F6 aren't too far away from them over by the ferry pier. And then you got south, you got Shoguns potentially moving south. They're occupying Gatka for the time being. Polar Ace Esports, they are so close to Envious right now. Creature just coming over the hill with the Envious boys, and I don't know if they'll show themselves. Shakes seems to be looking in that general direction. He's got an inclination, something's going on. He retreats back into cover with JPB, trying to avoid the fire. Look at that. You can see that first knock coming down onto Creature, just spraying into the rest of Envious. Applying that pressure, allowing that retreat to come in from Shakes, and now they can go on the offensive.
Yeah, the VSS, one of the other popular weapons, Trid, we talked about it. The M416, certainly, I guess, the most popular weapon for these competitive players. I think right behind that lies the VSS. It is such a deadly weapon and such an equipped weapon early on. It's already got the scope on top as well as the suppressor to boot, and now they're pushing on to Envy, a team that we highlighted coming into this game who needs a stellar performance on any of the maps, specifically on Erangel, to try to put together whatever points they can get. Reckless, he's going to be rocking that VSS as well. Has the range to at least find some connections on the Polar Ace Esports on the wide open hillside, and they are going to be in a tough position as Creature going to be immediately dropped, and Polar Ace Swarms trying to get on the knockhead as well.
Going to have to breach through that smoke. Uncertainty lies on the other side. They already know they got 1 knock. JPP is down on the ground. Look at the spray coming in from Shakes. He moves around the corner with the mini Uzi. Creature going to be knocked down. Now he wants to find more. He's going to spray through again. Knockout had no reaction to it. He's down but not out until finally comes in with the flush. Shake's able to deal with that, and Rush and Reckless, they're nowhere to be seen.
Outmaneuvered, outplayed, and out of the game for those members of Envy, as Reckless is the solo player now left a champion for his team. A lot of pressure now on the shoulders of the solo from Envious, as Polarized Esports picks up a nice 2 kills. They still have Rush as well to provide some sort of support on that off flank, but it's going to be dire straits for this team of Envious as we continue on here. Phase 1 going to be closing out in about a minute and a half time as the blue zone reaches that 50% mark on the shrink.
Is Rush still occupying the territory? I mean, they're still holding this position down for Envious. I'm not sure what they're sticking around for, but now finally he thinks he's got the moment of safety to move away, so now we'll make that retreat successful. Hopefully regroup with Reckless and try and salvage some semblance of points from this game, because so far only 16th place has been definitively claimed, and they don't want to be dropping out too early. So a vehicle has been acquired for Shakes and the rest of Polar Ace Games, or Polar Ace Esports more accurately. It's going to mount up and leave away. Rush just lying in prone in the shadows, does not want to be spotted out here.
Yeah, that's the best sound that player from Envious could have heard, the departing vehicles of the squad that took out 2 of his members. Another team, though, that needs solid performances going to be Totality. Lord Fudo and his teammates transitioning off of that Novo drop, crossing the eastern bridge and advancing onto the main part of Erangel. You'd like to see this rotation. Hopefully they're able to find a good position, because there's a lot open right now, Trid, in terms of the early rotations that we've seen throughout the day, throughout the weekend. A lot to be claimed in the centralized area of phase number 1.
Little photo trying to regroup with Triggs just to the west of Milta. You got version 2 White. They're in a difficult position here. They got a lot of teams circling around them. You've got Team Error, Tempo Storm moving into the area as well. F6 in those vehicles heading over. They're all heading towards the same points, and there could be some engagements happening to the eastern side of this circle.
There certainly could be, and it is going to be essentially a pressure cooker rather. You're looking around the 20-minute mark of this game for the action to absolutely pop off, but certainly anything that we've been shown so far is that these actions or at least these engagements are going to be plentiful, at least in the early game. You're going to see those shots, maybe a knock, maybe a player going down, but no real team wipes just yet. But we have seen one team exit so far in game number 4, again for Hokage down on Military Island.
Hopefully not many teams will be following them with such frequency. Is Ranger still in the blue right now, off to the east by Milta Power, trying to get some more resources as Milta becomes almost the benchmark of this circle. Now, have a look at where version 2 White are. They're so close to Team Totality, who are getting in those vehicles, mounting up, going to drive past. He's going to draw a lot of fire here. If he goes past his house, he's going to get lit up. If he's not too careful, going to lose that HP. The knock hasn't come in just yet. Might be able to escape with his life. Feed the information back to Totality. They're going to commit and try and find the damage to knock him out of the vehicle. Triggs, you're a madman. You've got to step on the gas. You don't want to be hit here. Loops all the way back round to his team. Mission accomplished. He knows exactly where version 2 White are now.
A sigh of relief from Totality as they were able to safely disengage off of that, keep all of their team alive. But we did see phase number 2 pop on the map. These teams are going to have to at least make a few adjustments to get a better position inside of the circle. A few teams having to come from those far locations as well. Remember, Shoot to Win was down at Primor, so they've got to go over to the east as Lord Fudo from Totality in this new position spots out Team Anarchy, making the exact same rotation that they had made, or at least tried to attempt a few seconds ago.
If we look over to the west, a lot of teams having to pass through there. It's Percocets taking a few shots at Shoguns, just western part of the circle. He just wants to get back in through that window. Dex very low himself. Just going to be limping away from that engagement in those vehicles as they head to the northwest. They might end up clashing into Tempo Storm, who are occupying some solid territory very central in the circle.
Certainly they are. Misfits holding on to the compound that they actually saw an engagement from in our previous match of Erangel. Shogun had inhabited this compound in game number 3. Well, now Misfits have taken control of it, and they're going to say, well, no, this is actually ours. We're going to hold on to this because in this circle, it becomes a more impactful compound for them to hold on to on that southwestern flank. But many more teams are starting to come in. The centralized area of phase number 2 getting a little bit more crowded as Wildcard approaches off of the east, as well as multiple teams, Polar East, Unnamed, Envious, and then far off to the west, Shoot to Win coming in.
Got a bit of distance to travel. They are the furthest out right now. They got some vehicles to their name, so they will be able to get in there in time. Lopez in the UAZ with Ulysses 24, going for a 2-2 split. Never want to put all players into one vehicle. You never know what's going to happen. May flip it, may blow up. Just don't want to be losing all of them to the same mistake, but they're taking it slow.
They're trying to get a lay of the land before they go in too gung-ho and potentially get lit up. They're not sure what's going on here. The information has been dire because they've been playing around the fringes too long.
And this is the thing. The trek that they're making right now is essentially the fields of death, as I like to call them. Wide open areas with hills on both sides and very strong compounds. It's not in a circle, so they can be pretty safe in assuming that there's not going to be in there, but you have to applaud the safe effort of making sure, absolutely sure, so that nothing is left up to chance. Here we have Error, Hot Jukes, the rest of the crew, but no, it's going to be Wildcard facing off against Tempo Storm. This is an engagement we were looking to see here on top of Potato Hill, as Ranger going to be quickly connected on by the likes of Nico with the Scar.
Surgical by Tempo so far. They're going to take cover here. Spec has to give himself a first aid kit, get him back in the game. They have lost Chica, so it is a 3v4 engagement, I believe. They got Ranger down. Going to send him to an early grave, make that a 3v3 illusion. Still down in the cover. They're just trying to get rid of that vehicle, stop the mobility. Rain and Zeus can only watch on from the fringes, try and provide some semblance of covering fire, but the longer this engagement goes, the more advantageous it is for Tempo. They're not on a timer like Wildcard are. They cannot get to illusions in time. That's just another loss for them. And it's going to clip their wings when they try to fly off later on.
Certainly Zeus and Rain are already starting to retreat off of this. They've got the vehicles. They need to disengage entirely and reset. They can't fight Tempo Storm here on this hill. Tempo has the high ground. They've already taken down 2 of the members of Wildcard Illusions. His days are numbered here. About a few seconds until Nico is able to find that flush and secure those kill points.
Building towards Tempo Storm, trying to find a way to overtake Misfits Gaming. Before this match, they were only shy of them by about 19 points. They can easily surmount that in this game, assuming they get a much greater placement than Misfits and knock them off of that top spot. And those kills are going to go towards them securing that objective.
Phase number 3 has popped. It's going to be a nice hard shift over there to the northeast. Maybe nice for some, a little bit less nice for others, specifically our teams on the west-hand side that have to continue on these rotations. They keep moving across far distances, but they're not able to settle in and really hold up the compound as Shogun's Yoda going to be spotting out unnamed off the distance. A nice shot will be dropping down one of the players, Raven, and they're in the wide open trid. I'm a little bit concerned as to what unnamed will be able to make of this because the guns are blazing and Dex has that VSS prepped and ready to spray down.
Trying to deal with unnamed Raven, but more focused on the vehicle for now. Wants to shut that down as an option for them. There you go, it's fully immobile now that he's popped that bubble. See Bill off to the left, he's in the smoke, going for the spray through it. Not entirely certain where that placement is, unable to find the shot. But the rest of Shogun's still going to hold down his position. Actually, they've gone for a bit of a split. They're sending a few units forward as Dex is going to be all the way over in the distance for Bill to rain fire down upon. He's not going to find any shots. Raven still on his knees. They've already lost Max. Taking some shots. Raven's taking too much damage. Will fall down. And now we're down to 2 members on Unnamed.
This is a necessary engagement, though, for Unnamed. There's no way they make the rotation from west to east through the members of Shogun without putting out some type of confusion for them or some type of window of opportunity in the form of a knock to work off of as the blue zone pushes up on Bill's back. He's going to be dipping in there, trying to avoid the lines of sight, hoping that Shogun continues on that rotation and he can almost be forgotten with his teammate Miski to push on.
He's got 2 first aid kits in the bag, so it's not a total loss. He should be able to survive through this one, but he will lose out on some resources. Just needs to take a long path around to avoid Shoguns, and with those resources being burned just for mobility, he's not going to be able to have anything later on for these late game engagements. F6, finding a knock, keeping it alive. Shakes actually going to be knocked down by the rest of Revenants, and there's the flush coming in as well, as we see a lot of teams moving towards here. Still that long path being taken by Unnamed. Definitely erring on the sides of caution here. They're even heading into Pachinki to reset and find a way to emerge into this next circle.
And this just goes to show how much Unnamed lost in trying to advance across the fields of Pachinki to get inside of the safe zone. They are in dire straits. They don't want to lose any more than they already have, but the blue zone continues to tick away at their health. They're wasting so many meds in this effort to try to wrap around that far southwestern area and avoid conflict entirely. As we see phase number 4 pop, about 40 seconds until the blue zone will continue to shrink in and make this incredibly harder for the members of Unnamed. As you see the play zone drop down on Miski.
No!
He had the meds to work with, but unfortunately
Miski!
The damage was too much, and Miski's going to be going down. We'll see if they're going to be able to get the res. They're going to be working off against low HP and blue zone damage, and well, it is not looking good for those members of Unnamed.
And Reckless as well. He actually went down to the play zone. He's still in the game. He's trying to save Miski, but he has to get in the circle. Miski's gone. It's all over. Bill, sprint to the point. I don't know if Bill will even make it himself. Look how deep he is into the blue. This is Unnamed. just going out for having to take that longer path. There's no way he makes it back in now, surely. This is his last first aid kit. No, he picked up the remnants from Miski. He may have made the sacrificial play to make sure at least one of them makes it back.
Exactly, and that's the play to make. I would have flushed out Miski if I was Bill, just to get those meds, and that's what you have to do. Sometimes it really comes down to that, saying, let me champion, let me try to get the placement for our team. I'm not going to be getting a massive amount of kills. 15 teams, though, still remaining as we approach that 20-minute mark of game number 4. 47 players, though, remaining. We've almost seen 20 players, Trid, drop out so far this game.
Bill won't be able to make it. He's too far away. We pull up the map quickly. You can see the distance that still needs to be traversed. It's just too much for the lad. He's going to be going out here, just buying more time, hoping some engagements happen in the circle to give himself a better position, because he's down to his last first aid kit and about 10 bandages. It's not going to heal enough for him as Martin's up on his hill. Turns it around, looking for Team Anarchy in the distance, and Misfits up on the ridge as well. They're caught between a rock and a hard place, and they do not want to be caught in the middle and become what is essentially going to be a shoot-to-win paste.
Version 2 White as well on the southern flank of where Shoot to Win is currently posturing, so a 5-team engagement could pop off here, as it looks like Version 2 White going to be popping down to the south a little bit on top of where Team Anarchy has been holding. Still 4 strong. Bad player going to be cooking that grenade, trying to time it just right, and it might be landing on top of Micro TT. No, it misses its mark, but it's going to be alerting Team Anarchy of the enemy presence just up the hill.
And pops the energy drink, wants some extra fuel here as Maluma just cycling through his weapons, pulling out the Scar instead. Look at the flank coming in from Team Anarchy. Throw the nade right on top of Maluma. Going to force a positional change, but not by much. You see the boys are moving around and the smokes are coming out. They're trying to encircle the rest of Version 2 White. Maluma's got cover on one side from the smoke, but not from this position down the hill that Team Anarchy are moving into. Maluma just needs to be conscious of where this attack is going to come from.
Exactly right. The low ground, almost a favorable position, at least as far as the third-person perspective goes in this exact landscape. We look at the map, though, the blue zone is shrinking, and these players have to worry about this next shift. It's not necessarily this zone that's going to be the wrench in their plans, but when they have to move, or if they have to move, certainly it's going to force some of these engagements down to the southeast. As the blue zone finishes up that shrink, the shots come out from Version 2 White, and it's going to actually be Team Anarchy's player number 9 with the Scar finding the first connection of this battle.
And Maluma, they're trying to get the flush onto him. He's already been knocked down. They're trying to send someone in to get the resuscitation. As now Bad Player stands up, wants to get a better sight of what's happening. James taking the long path round, but he might run into Shoot to Win if he's not too careful here. He's put himself in a terrible position. If he reveals himself and fires, he might just get third-partied himself and not take this ideal engagement. What is going on? Totality just been removed. He throws the nade up onto Version 2 White, unable to get the kills, but it is going to keep him under pressure.
Yeah, you can see Team Anarchy knows exactly where the members from Version 2 White currently are holding, but Shoot to Win could play a spoiler here. They're just not wanting to risk it. Remember, Shoot to Win lost 2 members in that far rotation all the way from Primorsk, but they're going to be spotted out right now. James knows exactly what lies just to the north over the hillside from him, and he's not been spotted by Shoot to Win. He's got to hold on here. He's got to somehow wrap back to his teammates, because this is not the engagement he wants.
Absolutely. He's sandwiched between 2 teams right now. If he pulls the trigger, it could all go wrong for him, and his reinforcements are cut off. They're trying to move around now because he's taking the shot instead with that AK. Not going to find it. Psycho taking cover, but now they know. And the reinforcements still trying to find a way. The blue's been triggered. He has to move up. They've got a vehicle on their hands. They can spray out of here if they move into a better position. They're trying to get as far away from this as possible, though, because they know James is just going to be this flare gun that's going to alert so much attention to these already established teams.
Shoot to Win with a nice play, because we have a hard shift here in phase number 5 all the way back over to the western side of the circle. Teams recognizing this are moving immediately. You can see all the movement in front of James from Team Anarchy right now as he spots out the members of Version 2 White. Bad Player going to be in his sights with the M416, spraying him down. One more shot will do it, and he's able to find the knock right now. James from Team Anarchy immediately, though, traded out thereafter by the members of Version 2 White, Maluma.
He's got time, though. The circle is not moving in just yet. He will be able to get resurrected by his team and brought back into the fight. You can see Shogun's taking an engagement up there with members of Tempo Storm, but Shoot to Win, Martin. Spec actually finding Version 2 Black right now, as well as Colin. Spec again! He gets the knock, and he makes sure he gets the kill here as Version 2 White comes in to try and deal with Team Anarchy. Spec is taking cover behind this rock. Looking up, look at the smoke that's covering Team Anarchy. He has the option here to try and protect Lost and lay down some suppressive fires. He sprays through the smoke, trying to find Dex. Behind him, though, Vigilante raining down into the fight. What's the third party on this one as well?
Reptar from Error and the rest of his squad trying to hold off on the pushes coming out from Totality. Down the hillside, Swift with a nice nade trying to connect on the Dodger. Misses the mark, but Lord Fudo in the background trying to do whatever he can to get up to his teammates. He's bleeding out. He needs to get to Dodger for some sort of safety to hopefully get revived, but it's not going to be easy for him to do so, especially with Swift looking in his direction, continuing to rain out those grenades, that gunfire that is pushing them back. Hot Jukes, though, he's got the ghillie suit. It's going to be the nice green that matches the foliage of this Erangel map, and well, Dodger's days are numbered. He's not going to be able to move out of this. The blue zone is going to be on his back. He's safe for now, but will he have to move here in a few seconds?
You say hopefully he might be able to be a bit of a dodger because he's going to have to run out from these trees as Peralta finding an engagement with Shoot to win, even getting involved with that one as he goes in with the knock, and Perksas as well feeling the burn as they return fire onto the Misfits lineup. F6 taking cover in a shack with a lot of smoke. Team Anarchy down on the hill, but they got Envious on their left flank. And Handsome all the way in distance as well. They got good control here. They're spreading out, so they've got multiple angles of attack. Should anyone try to aggress up the hill, you can see the nades coming in, trying to dislodge them from that relatively secure position. As Killer is keeping an eye on, using the third-party perspective, the third-person perspective, to have a look around and gauge the situation.
Phase 6 shifts over, another hard shift down to the west-hand side of things, and well, teams are starting to look worse for wear. I believe not many teams, if any, still have 4 players alive. 29 players alive with 12 teams. Trid, that's absolutely insane. There are a lot of solo players on the map, and it's going to be Misfits. Perkasas engaging on the wild card, but quickly dropped thereafter to the hands of Zeus and Rain, who are now taking fire of their own. Uneven, going to be dropped down as well. Just Acer and Pyra to stand alive, and hope, or rather, they're going to be knocked out as well. One player left. It's just going to be Acer. He's trying to champion for his team. Zeus hiding behind the rock. He gets the knock onto Rain, but can he find Zeus? Sure enough, he does behind the rock. Drops him down to about 10 HP.
He needs to win this kill. If Acer goes down here and Misfits drop out, they will lose that first place to Tempo Storm. There is no doubt about it. And he goes in, gets the kill. Rain being sent down, and now Acer has to champion his team to keep the first place position alive.
But here's the thing, Misfits has 8 kills to their name. If that's all they finish with in a nice placement to boot, they're going to be sitting pretty likely still at the top unless Tempo Storm has anything to say about it. Here it is, though, 9 from Team Anarchy spots out the members of Error. Hot Juke's going to be sprayed down immediately. Player 9 continues to rack up at least some damage and some knocks. He's not securing the kills, which is fairly significant because a lot is given away in terms of his position.
It's all gone a bit wrong for Tempo Storm. Revenants, they've done enough damage there to put them on the back foot and maybe even knock them out here. Spec is still alive, but he's finally going to get dropped. I think that's Tempo Storm just being removed. That's disastrous for them. Their first place contestation is completely removed, and now Acer can coast a little bit pretty, but he's still got other teams on his heels. It's not guaranteed for them, but they're doing everything right here to keep that stronghold they have over the leaderboard.
I was worried about Tempo Storm. They lost Chica early on in this game. They only had 3 players on their squad to work with, and they were holding a dead center position. It's incredibly hard to watch 360 degrees with only 3 players alive and not your full squad. But now, 9 from Team Anarchy continues to try to be a thorn in the side of Team Error, trying to poke back, trying to get some damage, and lay prone on this hillside, hopefully for Error to push into him. But the team knocks come in. The third-party engagement has erupted from up the hill from Revenants.
Peralta and the rest of Revenants are doing so much for the kill feed right now, and they're not dealing necessarily all the damage. They're letting others do it while they pick up the rewards. Hot Juke's going to throw out that smoke there as seeing a member, Swift, being down, needs to get that resurrection in, wants to blind Fryer through that smoke, try and deal some pressure to Revenants, who will eventually have to rotate round, but you can see they're playing around the blue, going round to the north, and they may expose themselves to the sightlines of Shoguns if they're not too careful.
Phase number 6 has popped, and it's going to be another hard shift over to the southwest. Hard shift after hard shift after hard shift for the last 3 phases, and player number 9 sprays down Reptar and gets the team wipe on top of Air, surviving now. 2 kills to their name. They're going to be at least alive with 2 other players on their team to hold on to the southwest corner.
And look at this. Look at this. Revenant's trying to find a way into the map. They're opting to go for the fight against Team Anarchy. Well, maybe not opting to go in for the fight, but that's certainly what they're going to get by occupying that territory. Rice and Shoguns have a good position over on the opposite side. Handsome's caught between him and Envious as Vigilante, and the rest of Revenants going on the assault now, keeping their eyes open. They do not want to be caught off guard here as they press round. Shots being traded. Looking like Killer's taking a lot of the damage. Peralta as well, taking his fair share. They want to slow things down a bit, take control. Dex moving forward. He's found Reckless, taking the engagement on Envious. Trying to remove them from the field altogether as Reckless will go down. Dex taking some fire from Rush, the last remaining member from this Envious lineup. He's sprayed down as well. Rush finally going down. Envious taken out. And now Shoguns can breathe a little bit easier. They just need to be worried about Handsome in the area. But look at this. They rush forward too fast. Team Anarchy going to deal with Peralta handedly. And now the rest of the Revenants go on the assault. Tanker taking too much damage. And Killer looking to do just that. Clean up the kills on Vigilante and Tanker. They're uncertain of where that third person is. He's too far away to help them. Espinosa lying on this high ground in wait.
This is going to be Team Anarchy's game to lose here. They've got the numbers, they've got the position down the hill, but can they avoid any of the pressure being thrown in their direction? Player 9 continues to hold on in the prone position just down the hill from where the solo player left for Revenants is watching, but they're not going to give up anything in the process, dipping back down into the smoke to get some cover, get some extra loot infusion before they continue on into the final moments here of game number 4.
Rice has been spotted by Killer. A little bit of fire being traded around this tree as that circle gets closer to completing and forcing the next phase. Rice just biding his time here. There's 2 angles, but they're not in a very wide arc here to try and bid around this tree. Rice going to open fire, not in the right location though, and Killer takes him out. He's shot in the wrong spot. And now Rice has been down. It's on Dex to try and bring him back into the fight, but he's going to expose himself to so much hardship because Handsome's up there as well, off to the sides as teams try and get back up this hill. Espinosa and Tanker sitting behind the cloud, trying to res themselves and get themselves in a suitable position to try and take this next engagement.
But look at this, Handsome from NAF6, or one of our highlighted teams for having a poor performance on Erangel, going to be hiding out in this destructible shack, and that's going to be a jump. He's going to be a player from Shogun, spots him out, tries to hop out, but it's going to be Handsome spraying around the backside of the shack. He finds the kill onto Dex and wipes out Shoguns from the game. 3 teams remaining, and NAF6 has made it into this top 3 with a solo player. Can they third party? Can they secure the second place finish as the battle erupts between Revenants and Team Anarchy? They're going to be knocked down.
Coming in here, Tanker dealing with micro ATT as well. And it's a top 2 finish for F6. What a turnaround from a team that we highlighted the struggles of when their previous performance on Erangel. 2v1 is a bit of a tall order for Handsome. It is entirely doable if he plays his cards right in this final circle.
Hopefully he has some type of utility. You're already seeing the smoke starting to come out. NAF6 is Handsome, setting the landscape for what will be the final battle, not just of this game, not just of this day, but of week number 1 of the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American region. Grenades coming out, Espinosa tagged with a significant amount of damage, dropped down to 50 HP as Tanker starts to at least flank around that southern side of the blue zone, knowing full well where his opponent lies.
Tanker going to take this one slow. They have the advantage. There's no reason to misplay this one. So he's trying to regroup with his teammate whilst keeping these arcs. They want to get a guaranteed information. Handsome firing out a few shots. It only isolates the position. Tanker getting in closer. He knows what he wants to go for. Still playing around this hill. Firing some heals onto Handsome. He gets the angle. And that's going to be it. Revenants taking over that first place spot, giving themselves a nice set of 11 kills as well to boot. That's going to do wonders for their final positioning at the conclusion of week 1.
Yes, and NAF6, although it won't be good enough in the long run, only 2 teams from North America move on to the global finals, but placement is enough, at least here in the group stages. Second place finish with 1 kill. You have to be very proud of Handsome if you're on that squad or a fan of the team.
23 points from that finish there, 22 points for the placement, 1 for the kill as well. It's a good result, not the best you could have got, but it's still going to keep you in that contention. And Team Anarchy has been a middle-of-the-pack team for these 2 groups. They've done quite well here to get themselves a 3rd place finish with 7 kills to boot as well. That's a nice 26 bonus to them. So actually they end up coming away with more points from this than that 2nd place finish from F6. So it's great showing from them as well.
And Trid, that's going to be week number 1 of the PUBG Mobile Club Open North American region in the books. But we've got 1 more week of the group stages to get through in just a few days. Let's take a look at this schedule coming up.
Look at what you got coming up next week. All these beautiful games. Groups B and D are going to play their next set of matches to bring everyone up to 8 games played, and then we move into that home stretch. A versus D, B versus C will close off the group stage, and if you are in the bottom 8 by the end of week 2, your tournament runs over. You will not make it into the semifinals.
And Trid, I'm going to be looking forward to specifically Sunday of next week, day number 3, for the first time that we see groups B and C go off against one another.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic on that final day. B and D on Friday. There's a lot of teams off in there that have a lot of potential. When I'm looking towards the teams that are available in there, we've got to remember that we got the likes of Nova Esports in there, a crowd favorite, but also just shy and knocking on that 100 points. After another day of play, they can easily climb up the ranks here and contest. Let's have a look at the standings as they are. Team Totality, the worst placed team as of right now, because they do have the matching games that have been played so far. You can see a lot of teams there still sat on 4 games.
And again, if you want to check out these standings, head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com. We've got VODs, we've got standings, we've got more information about the tournament for this season, as well as the season taking place later on in the year, in the fall. But also, go on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, as Trid said, hit the bell as well, so you get the notifications as to when those VODs get uploaded.
So these results aren't fully up to date just yet. You can see a lot of teams are still on those 7 matches. So it's a relative reflection of what's going on. I've got an updated leaderboard here. Misfits Gaming still retain that first place spot with 190 points. And you've got Tempo Storm in second. But because of that fantastic performance by Revenants, they've actually knocked that position away from Shoot to Win. They will go into the top 3 with a sizable score of 155 points. Just 5 points in it. And there you have it. Exactly what I was talking about. 5 points separate Shoot to Win and Revenants in that top 4, and then after that, a huge divide down to Wildcard Gaming.
Exactly right. So this is where we stand after 3 days of play, 1 week down here in the group stages. And Trid, what a stellar performance it was. We're going to go back through the leaderboards one more time because it wasn't necessarily updated for some of our bottom teams just yet. Make sure to see where your teams, if you're a fan of any of these teams, where they lie, to sort of track their performance and gauge what they need to do next week to rank into those top 24 positions.
And Friday, 2 of the teams you've got to be looking out on. Nova Esports NA, as well as Are You Scared? Both the group leaders of their respective groups and looking to climb up and contend with the likes of A and C, who've started to make names for themselves. And right now, the worst performing team, still the same. It's Team Totality. 8 games played, 49 points to their name. And I can expect to see a lot of these teams potentially climb and overtake them with their next set of games.
Yeah, if you're Team Totality, you'll want to see them spend every day this week. Maybe take tomorrow off, you know, sort of decompress from this tournament, make sure that there's no emotions at play, and then get right into the research. You need to scout out your opponents, you need to scout out your own strategy, and find where those mistakes were happening. But Trid, what a stellar week it was here for the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
What a debut for this stage of the tournament. It's been a fantastic run over these past few days. Myself and Esquire, thank you so much for joining us on this momentous broadcast. We are going to disappear for the next couple of days. We'll be back on Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific, to bring you the second week of the Club Open group stage.